Hello, hello, it's Attorney Mike Gravelin coming to you from an undisclosed location. I just did a stream a few hours ago. There was a last-minute addition to that stream. I'm calling it now Shady Family Business. I got the rest of the hearing. It gets so much worse. I mean, the first part was delicious. I just did the thumbnail for that too. The thumbnail says fire starter because there was another part of that unrelated. But this we're going back to the probate debacle in Texas. You got to buckle up for this one, people. It's worth it. It really is. Let's go.
Okay, y'all, if y'all are all still here, let's get started. We're back on record 2344830, estate of Betty Grace Patton.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Miss Patton, you had Miss Dake on cross-examination, so go ahead if you have more questions.
Okay. Melanie, so first of all, are you aware that Fidelity stopped paying Betty her distributions as of January of this year?
No.
Are you aware that, oh man, I have 2%. I have to get a charger. Are you aware that they also refused to give her liquidated cash that she had in her accounts as she requested?
No, not aware.
Are you aware that the tune of what she was asking for was around $200,000?
Yes, I read the comments. There were a lot of requests for the rest of this hearing. That's why I scraped it together and doing it now. But thank you.
$1,000.
No, I have no idea.
What's the objection?
Relevance. It appears it sounds like she was talking about things that happened before the decedent died.
Yes,
Relevance is sustained.
So are you aware that because Fidelity would not give Betty her monies that were hers and liquidated, me and my husband had to cover all of her expenses on Bray's Heather, all of David's expenses, and all of Tim's expenses?
That's what you told me, but I have no proof.
What's the objection?
She's assuming facts that are not in evidence. We have no proof of any of this supposed money that she's advanced. And again, she's talking about matters that happened before the decedent died.
Sustained as to, hold on. Your objection is relevance.
And she's assuming facts that are not in evidence.
Okay, it's overruled as to both. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
So are you not aware, Melanie, that me and my husband had to pay for all of Betty's and her son's expenses before she died, beginning February, and also after, pretty much all the way through till you took over the utilities?
I object to relevance as the part of the question that asked about anything paid for our behalf of the son prior to the date of death.
That's overruled. The son or the decedent?
She said, go ahead.
Who are we asking about? The decedent or the decedent's son?
Both. We were covering all of the expenses.
It's sustained as to the decedent's son. He's not an issue here.
David is the person to whom I'm referring. And that was a lot of my questions have to do with David and the house and what Melanie was saying.
Is it responsive? Tell me what question she asked that this is responsive to, Ms. Patton. What did Ms. Bryant get into that asking about the expenses y'all paid for David is relevant to respond to?
Yeah, Melanie was talking about how we had stopped paying the bills and how utilities were being past due and, seeming like I wasn't taking care of things.
Okay, it's overruled then. Thank you. Ask your next question.
Okay. I'm sorry, Melanie, did you or did you not ask me over text message while Betty was still alive to give you full access to her bank account information?
Information,
Objection.
yes.
What's the objection?
Relevant.
Sustained.
Did you or did you not demand that I give you the access to Betty's financial information while Betty was still alive?
All right, I've already
Not
sustained
demanding.
objection to this question. Ask something different.
Okay. And did you or did you not ask me to I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought again. Is it true that you promised me a POA for David months and months ago, and only
Objection.
just November?
What's the objection?
Relevant.
Overruled. Can you answer the question? Did you hear it?
No,
Ask the question again, please. You're on mute, Miss Patton. You need to ask that question again.
Sorry,
please.
it goes to the relevance. It goes to the relevance of you.
I overruled the objection. Your question is okay. I overruled her objection, but the witness didn't hear the question, so you need to ask it again.
You won, dummy. That's what overruled means. There was an objection. I overruled it. You can ask that question, but now she needs it repeated.
Okay, sorry. So, is it true, Melanie, that you promised me a POA for David months ago and only just got it to me mid-November?
yes,
Okay. Are you aware that the reason why we couldn't keep up with the payments on David's needs and the utilities was because I had run out of estate money and David would not cooperate with me and you did not have the POA?
Objection, Your Honor. It seems like we're getting into executor territory when she's talking about
Yes.
paying on the house, and that would have been in her capacity as the executor, which I understand these line of questions are supposed to be restricted to her as in her individual capacity.
Well, I don't think that's what the line of questions has to be restricted to. That's how she is restricted to be able to ask them. I think they have to be restricted to her actions that she took or things that you brought up to be relevant. So that's overruled. Ms. Dake, you can answer the question.
okay, ask the question again.
Okay, you want me to ask the question again about the POA?
Yes,
Are you aware that you told me you would give me a POA for David after Betty died, and you never got it to me for months, and I asked you for it multiple times?
yes, we did that through Emily Taylor, the lawyer, and it's a big organization and there were delays and, you know, other people do things. And so it took a while to get it. Yes.
Are you telling me that David had nothing to do with this POA process at all?
He signed the papers for it and it was done with the lawyer, Emily Taylor in Houston.
So why was there such a delay? We can do things electronically these days. Why was there such a delay on this process?
I don't know. What difference does it make?
Don't ask her questions, please.
Okay, sorry.
That's not helpful.
Okay, sorry.
Under those conditions, would you consider it to be unreasonable for me to meet the timelines you demanded?
What's your question?
Under the condition of being unable to move forward with estate funding and not having a POA for David to do so, it would be very difficult for me to proceed with the timeline and the deadlines that you've given me. Is that true? Do you consider that to be a fact?
No, not at all. I didn't give you any deadlines. The deadlines are from the probate court. And whether I ever was David's POA or not had nothing to do with you taking care of your duties as the executrix.
Did you have any part in delaying this process?
What process?
The process of getting the estate funding and the beneficiary funding specifically.
Don't worry, people. It gets so much worse.
Do you agree or disagree that you had a part to play in that? That's my question.
I have no idea what you're even asking.
Did you or did you not do something to delay me to getting this done on time?
No. I encouraged you to do it on time. I told you that I was the executrix for my dad when he died in 2015, and I would be glad to help you and give you advice. You said that I was thwarting you and a bully because I had a lawyer.
Okay. Next question. Did you or did you not tell me over text message that David was not capable of handling the finances and his own finances himself?
Yes.
Can you please explain why?
He has
Object,
Yeah.
Your Honor. I'm sorry, it's
Terrible.
irrelevant. I'm not quite sure what this has to do with
yes.
anything that we're talking about right now in terms of whether or not the executor should be removed.
It's overruled. You can answer the question.
David has severe fibromyalgia. He's been to 2 different
That's my understanding.
specialists. There was a questionnaire of like 30 items for fibromyalgia, and he has 29 of them. He has a lot of physical pain, physical weakness.
Today, Your Honor, my health is in jeopardy right now.
What's that?
I have IBS.
Goodness, I mean, he's a very disabled, miserable person. One of the fibromyalgia things is anxiety. He has a lot of anxiety. He has extreme anxiety over the smallest of things. We were married for 38 years. I was definitely the administrator. I paid all the bills. I took care of everything like that. We discussed them on a monthly basis, but I actually did all that administrative kind of thing.
Okay, are you still answering the question?
I think so.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're not going on and on just for time's sake, that we're not getting
Oh, no, not at all. So yes, you know,
We've got a probate contest over whether or not she should be the executor of the estate.
I don't think he's capable of doing this on his
going
own.
on.
He definitely needs me. That's
Don't
why
worry,
I'm his
Doug.
POA.
Okay, did David agree to you being his POA?
Yes, it was his idea. And he met with Emily Taylor, the lawyer, and signed all the documents and stuff in Houston. I wasn't even there.
Okay, did David agree when you initially asked him?
Oh, I need
Yes.
that right now. I got Brian.
What month did he agree?
I don't remember. I think we might have we talked about it sometime early in the summer, I think. I don't remember exactly when. Is Melody on mute? I can't hear her.
Okay, sorry, may I have 1 second to go over my list of questions here? I
Yes.
don't want to take the first time. Thank you. Okay, Melanie, do you have the names of David's doctors?
Yeah, one of them is Dr. Geller. I can't remember the one before that, but he would know. It was a female doctor who's a specialist in fibromyalgia.
Okay, are you in possession or have access to these medical records and documents?
Objection, Your Honor. I'm not sure why we're going into Mr. Patton's medical history
It's
records.
sustained. That is sustained. Let's get back to focus on the allegations in the case here.
Okay, so hold on 1 second. I'm so sorry. Do you believe, Melanie, that David's illnesses were to be unable to move out of the house?
Say that again, you breaking up.
Do you believe that David's illnesses that you mentioned would render him incapable of moving out of the house so I could sell it?
Objection, Your Honor. There's been no testimony that his illness that prevent him from moving out of the house. It's not appropriate to be discussing his health information in this context.
Sustained.
Okay, 1 second, please. Do you remember, Melanie, the last time that David went to the doctor for these things?
Objection, Your Honor. I don't know what this has to do with anything that we're talking about today.
Okay, that's sustained. Let's move off of David's health issues onto a relevant topic, please.
Okay, so Melanie, the day that you were on the phone with David and Matt came over and he brought David some gifts, you said they were peculiar. Can you tell me what they were and why you said that?
David could give you the list of what he gave. The fact that Matt gave him any gifts at all, to me, was a bribe or some weird reason. There was no reason. David and Matt are not friends. There was no reason for Matt to give him anything. I don't know what he gave him.
Okay,
I don't have that.
Talking to Matt about anything to you?
Say it again.
Did David mention to you anything that he and Matt discussed?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Sustained. Hello?
Are you aware that my husband gave David a Marshall amp speaker for his guitar practice and a Stetson hat?
No.
Objection.
What's the objection?
Relevant.
Sustained.
And so, Melanie, can you explain what you found peculiar about the gifts that you don't remember him telling you about?
He told me about the gifts. I just don't have a list of what they were. What is peculiar is that Matt gave him gifts at all. It was completely out of the blue, and it just seemed like a manipulation or some kind of strange motivation. All of those gifts are still at the house with Tim. David took nothing with him because he didn't really consider they were his. He did not know why Matt gave it to him or what was going on. It was weird.
Yep.
Please confirm that you don't remember what the gifts were.
No, I don't remember what they were. Can you do this without Matt?
Don't ask her questions.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, my next question is, are you aware that
Yeah, it's inappropriate for the witness to ask that, but the witness is absolutely correct.
the house was not being kept up while David and his caregiver, Sean, were living there?
In what way?
Absolute filth, absolute disgustingness. David would be kept sick longer being there. Are you aware it was in that condition?
Objection,
No.
Your Honor.
What's the objection?
Assuming facts that are not in evidence, we have no testimony as to the state of the house other than as to the utilities.
Sustained.
Are you aware, Melanie, that Sean had been living in the house for 4 months without telling me?
Objection, Your Honor. Assuming facts that are not in evidence, we have no testimony about Sean. We have no testimony from Melody about Sean and what she was not told.
Sustained.
Okay. Are you aware, Melanie, that that I had personally informed David that we would be selling the house and he'd have to move out, and he had months to do this? Are you aware of that?
He knew the house needed to be sold, yes.
Are you aware that I had given him multiple notices verbally before I gave him the official eviction notice?
No. But he knew it was in the will that the house had to be sold. So he was never intending to stay living there.
Are you aware that he never packed or did anything to get ready for a move?
He doesn't really have that ability, and that he doesn't have much stuff there. He just has a few clothes. What needs to be done is Tim and David need to go through their parents' belongings and decide who wants what and what is going to be sold or given away. David doesn't really have much there at all.
Okay, so are you aware that that David refused to leave the house based on the premise that he had nowhere to go, which was false?
Objection, Your Honor. She's testifying in her question about what David allegedly told her or didn't tell her.
I have that suspicion about her husband, and her father, as you'll see.
Sustained.
Are you aware that David used my husband's house address as his own for his warrant issues?
Absolutely not. All he's ever used.
I'm not sure how this is relevant. Can we please stick to what we're here for? It's not like a place to hash out all the things that has happened in the family history. I know it's tempting, but that's not what we're here for. Really try and stick to what she testified on direct examination, or topics you're trying to elicit to, I guess, show that you shouldn't be removed as the executor of the estates.
Your Honor, I understand. I apologize. Thank you.
It's okay. It's hard. I understand. I'm just trying to keep y'all on task, so we're not here till tomorrow morning.
Right.
No, I didn't see that. I was traveling. So it looks like that one was well covered. I probably won't go over it.
So it just in response to you, Your Honor, the relevance is Melanie's integrity and her character, which have been quite different from how I thought she was.
Okay, so character test, that's not relevant. Melanie's character, that's not what we're here for. It's Melanie's character. If you want to impeach her to show that she's lying to me about something, totally relevant.
Oh yeah, good luck.
But just to tell me what a dirty dog person she is and what you think of her, that's not what we're here for.
So, Melanie, are you aware that I gave Sean and David a 3-day eviction notice to give them time to get whatever they needed, and I pleaded with them to get all that they needed, and they refused?
Because the house is 50% David's, so he didn't need to leave.
The problem was, I'm sorry, this is my question. I need to ask you a question. Are you aware that I could not sell the house with David's stuff and the condition it was left in?
David has very little stuff in the house. It would all fit in one car. It's Betty and Boyd's accumulation of stuff since living there since 1969 that David and Tim need to decide who wants what furniture, etc.
I would like to submit photos to counter what you said as due process. Is that all right?
Okay, so are the photos to impeach her?
The house, the photos are of the house and of David's stuff and the condition it was left in, and the reason why I had to get him out of the house in order to follow my grandmother's will.
Okay, so what you're wanting to show me is pictures of the house to show me the condition that was David's stuff. Okay, how are you going to show them to me?
I can send pictures, or I'm not sure how to do that.
Do you have them in digital format?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You have them on the equipment that you're on chat with us right now?
No, it's on a different phone, but I can email them or drop them via Dropbox or something, but I would need a little bit of time.
No, we're not going to do that.
Oh, actually, hold on. It's on my Google Photos. I can get it right now if you give me a second.
I'm going to object, Your Honor, to these coming in on relevant grounds. I mean, we're not really talking about the condition of the house. I don't believe there's any testimony on direct about the condition of the house and why it hasn't been sold. We also have not, it's our contention that the will does not require this house to be sold. We can put the will in front of you and go through that with Melody or with Melanie, but that is not something that is required in the will.
Okay, so I think what got us off on this direction was when we started talking about her mismanagement or alleged mismanagement of the estate, and the house was part of that, and I think she's trying to respond to it, so that's overruled.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Patton, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So
I'm all for Zoom.
I would like to submit the documents to you, but
You're going to have to upload them in the chat feature so that everyone can see them.
may I request IT help with this?
Whose IT? My IT? I can't hear you.
My husband is an IT expert, and I'd like him to help me upload this, and I don't.
Your husband can help you with whatever you need help with there.
Okay. I'm gonna get another question for you while he's helping me with that. 1 second. Okay. My husband is working on that on another computer, so he's doing that. In the meantime, I'd like to ask a few more questions, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. So hold on 1 second. Okay. Are you aware, Melanie, of the account being closed in First Street Financial? Because you had talked to me about that. Are you aware that that account is closed and did not have anything in there for you?
No.
How often did you speak with Betty as of January 2023?
Objection, Your Honor, irrelevant.
What's
Why you
the
just have
relevance of this
before-
question?
How often did you speak with Betty about financial matters?
Don't repeat it. What's the relevance of it?
The relevance is that she was contesting that I
Responding to the objection is not simply repeating the question you asked.
was not doing my due responsibility because she's a beneficiary of the account that I'm referring to. And so that's why I was asking her if she was aware that that bank had no open account of Betty Patton or Boyd Patton.
But that's not what you're asking. You're asking her how many times she talked to Betty.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, Your
Oh,
Honor.
it's the state.
Okay. All right. So my next question then is, are you aware that I had to cover David's expenses as of February, even after you and I had talked about the utilities being paid? Are you aware that I continued to pay his expenses?
I assume you were paying them out of the estate money because the house is part of the estate. And as the executrix, it's your responsibility to pay the utilities.
Remember the conversation that you and I both had over phone call that the estate funds had not been released yet, and I was using my personal funds for the family and to support David and Tim.
We never got any documentation from you about anything, and I don't know why the estate funds were not released to you if you're the executrix.
Do you remember that I told you that Fidelity would not release money yet, and I had a delay on the house because David would not move out? Do you remember me telling you that?
Something like that. I'm not really sure.
Are you aware that Fidelity requires David himself or a power of attorney on file in order to get his money released or to even talk to me about it?
Objection, Your Honor. The Fidelity account is not a part of the probate estate. It's not an asset that she needs to administer. I'm not, again, sure why we're going down this road of questioning.
What's the
Line
relevant?
of questioning, excuse me.
The reason is because those were the only estate funds available. I could not get the house sold, and the only estate funds available at that point were what were left in the beneficiary accounts.
Okay, it's overruled. Do you know the answer to the question, Ms. Dake?
I'm sorry, ask the question again.
My question was, are you aware that Fidelity required David himself or in order to get his funds released or even to talk about them?
No, because you didn't communicate anything to us. Betty had told Tim that there was money in Fidelity for the 6 of y'all that would not have to wait for probate. And from my understanding of talking to Tim, he then asked you about it, and you finally gave him the information on how to contact Fidelity, who to talk to, and the account numbers and all that. You never gave anything to David or Josh or Nick. And so Tim, out of the goodness of his heart, reached out to me and David and gave us the information. So then, yes, we contacted Fidelity for David to get his share.
Are you aware that I spoke with Josh, who recorded my conversation, about this exact thing that we're talking about? I talked to Josh about it, and he recorded it for you. Are you aware of that?
No.
Do you remember the Zoom chat that you had with my husband and myself about all these things in great detail? We had that in, I think it was June.
I remember a long conversation with y'all, yes. And I asked you for a transcript of it or a recording of it, and you refused.
Is it possible that this Fidelity information was shared during that conversation?
I don't remember. We've never received anything in writing about Fidelity or about anything else.
Okay. Are you aware that I gave Josh documents to take home with him on the trip?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
did you look at any of those documents?
Yes. Yes, got the official death certificate. Sorry. Yes.
So please confirm that you reviewed the documents of the trip, but not the recording.
Say that again.
Confirm that you reviewed the documents Josh brought to you, but did not review his recording of the conversation.
Objection,
What
Your
recording?
Honor. I don't think she testified that Josh brought her anything or anything to do with the recording. So she's misstating the Melanie's testimony.
Sustained.
So Melanie, did you or did you not, were you or were you not a part of a text message conversation where Josh said he would let you have all of the information that I gave him and that we could talk about it?
I don't know about any.
All right, just to catch you up here on this, Betty it's her estate, and I believe Melody is the granddaughter, and she does not take under the will, although she gets some proceeds under the Fidelity account. I'm just doing that because we didn't start from the beginning, and it's a little confusing. It might help you, follow along here.
Conversation. I never heard a recording of any conversation that Joshua had with you at all.
Could you explain
Oh, you think this is bad, Dave? Wait till the husband gets up there.
why you wouldn't listen to the recording that you had requested Josh do for our conversation?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the objection?
On estate matters.
Relevant. I mean, assuming facts that are not in evidence, she's testifying in her question.
Sustained.
Okay, well, I'd like to submit more evidence then.
Well, you will have a chance to do that, but you need to right now, you can ask the questions to the witness.
Okay, Melanie, do you remember the conversation where I asked you over the phone to come to Braze Heather to Houston, and I would pay for your trip and accommodate you so that you could help me get David settled somewhere else and the house sold?
Yes.
So at that time, did you recognize that you needed a power of attorney to do those things with me?
Objection, Your Honor, irrelevant.
Sustained.
The relevance is that I was waiting on the power of attorney because I couldn't actually legally do anything with Melanie on David's behalf.
It's still sustained.
Are you, Melanie, or do you remember that you refused to come and help me with my request?
Objection, Your Honor. She's testifying with her question. There's no testimony that she refused to help her with any request. She's assuming facts that are not in evidence.
Sustained.
Did I or did I not offer you a full plane ticket and accommodations for whenever you would need to get this trip done so that we would all be better off?
Objection, relevant.
That is overruled. You can answer that question.
I would go with leading, but okay.
Okay, ask it again.
Did you or did you not decline my offer to pay for you to come here and get the house matters settled and David settled somewhere and the house sold when I asked you to help me?
Yes, I didn't need to be there to do that.
That as well.
Would it not be quicker to get a POA if you were right there with him in the same state and vicinity?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevant calls for speculation. I mean, she's not a lawyer. She's she's not an expert in that area. I don't know why she'd be testifying about how it would be quicker to get a POA or versus how it wouldn't be. I mean,
Sustained.
Hello?
The objection was sustained, so you need to get another question. At this time, I'm going to start limiting the time available. So for the cross-examination now, I'm going to give you 15 more minutes. So please pick your questions carefully.
Melanie, are you aware that I am a bookkeeper and accountant, and my husband is too?
Oh, sweet Jesus. It's Karen spreadsheets all over again.
Bookkeeper and
Objection.
accountant for what?
For
What's the objection?
relevant.
Sustained. Next question.
Are you aware that we have experience with financial matters and that you are you aware that we have experience with financial matters?
Objection, relevant.
Sustained. Next question.
Are you aware that we have experience with financial and never mind, sorry, I'm not saying this question right. Are you aware that we as accountants work with POAs often, Melanie?
Objection, relevant. Assumes facts that are not in evidence.
Sustained as to both.
So, Melanie, are you aware that your actions or disactions you did not come to Houston and you would not provide me with a POA? Are you aware that that caused a huge delay in not only process but also funding?
I might have to put disactions on the thumb now. That's too good. I didn't catch it the first time around. That's a classic. That's an instant classic right there.
Objection, argumentative, relevance, assumes facts that are not in evidence.
Dr. Seuss words.
Overruled, sustained.
So in meeting the court's deadlines, which you stated I hadn't with the inventory and whatever else I missed, I could not, are you aware that I couldn't do that because of Melanie and David's delay in the process in totality?
Objection, Your Honor. I mean, I assume facts not in evidence. There's been no testimony that there's been any actions on Melanie or David's behalf that have.
Yeah, but you're not addressing the disactions. Probably because you're a rational attorney.
To her from complying with her statutory responsibilities as the executor.
That's overruled. Ms. Dake, you can answer that one.
Okay, ask it again.
So Melanie, are you aware that your delay in getting me the POA and David's inability to get out of the house provided a significant delay in me meeting the court deadlines?
No, it did not. You meeting the court deadlines was a completely separate thing, had nothing to do with me and David.
And just for the record, so that everybody's on the same page, these are not court-imposed deadlines. These are statutorily mandated deadlines. This is done by the legislature, so this is the law. I didn't dream up these deadlines or mandate anything special about this. I know, Ms. Dake, you don't know that, and that's fine. I'm not fussing at you. I just so we're all on the same page. This isn't something that the court has done.
Melanie, are you aware that the delay in getting the POA or getting you here to help and David's complete inability to even talk to me because of his anxiety or his inability to get out of the house, are you aware that all of those things put together made it impossible for me to not only fund the family support, but also get
Those are the exact good questions right there.
the deadlines done by law, whatever deadlines those are? It made it impossible for me. Are you aware of that?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Do you agree, Melanie, that delayed it then? Do you agree?
No. You filing the list of assets as of the day Betty died was one of the things you missed. That had nothing to do with anything except you and your responsibilities being done or not done.
Do you agree
Melanie is not done with your host yet. I just want you to know that right now.
that David is completely incapable of acting on his own in any of these matters?
Objection,
No.
Your Honor. Relevant.
Sustained.
And so do you agree that he would need a POA or for you yourself to come down in person and help handle these matters in order for all of this to continue?
Objection. Relevant.
Sustained.
Do you agree that the timeline then of this estate matter and beneficiary distributions are completely delayed?
Objection. Relevance. I mean, calls for speculation.
How many months did it take for you to give me the POA, Melanie?
Sustained. Melanie, I'm sorry, Ms. Dake, that question is on board. The question about how many months did you give,
Okay.
take for you to give her the POA?
Okay. We got the POA to her in November. It was just a whatever process with Emily Taylor and her team. I don't know who all did what. But
And when did you
And
initially make her give me the POA?
Yeah, so let me explain to you that there's a court reporter, stenographer, a lady, she types down everything we're saying. She can't do two people at one time, and this is a court of record. So you have to ask a question, get an answer, and then ask another question, or else she can't get what we're saying. What that record is used for is for the Court of Appeals. So if either one of you don't like what happens today and y'all want to take it up on appeal, this record is part of what you can use to do that. So it's good for both of you if it's a clear record and it gets everything that happens.
Yes.
So I don't know if she got that last question, but
No.
you didn't? No. Ask the last question again.
Melanie, when did you initially tell me you were going to get a POA for David?
I don't remember.
Whenever you did get it for him, was it post the deadline for me to get the will executed?
Objection, relevant.
Oh, I have no idea. Well, not no idea, but from what I've seen of the hearing, that is definitely what I'm doing. She's trying to find ways to grift more money out of the estate. Very common, but that it's just as simple as that, as far as I can tell.
Calls for speculation.
That is sustained.
Okay. It had
No,
nothing to do.
That's sustained. So don't answer the question.
Oh.
So, hold on, I'm sorry. So, how long did it take for you to get the POA to me?
We've established that I gave it to you in November.
Would it be possible then for me to handle the matters regarding David without that POA from you?
Objection,
Yeah.
calls for speculation.
Sustained.
So Melanie, do you agree that because it took you this long to get me the POA, I could not give David the funding? I could not get David his beneficiary money and therefore the funding?
Probably.
Objection, calls for speculation, and it calls for a legal conclusion.
Sustained.
Are you aware that, Melanie, that I invited David over to my home and talked to him about all of these things, and in response, he urinated in my car?
Objection, hearsay, relevant.
Okay, overruled as to hearsay, sustained as to relevance. I think we are way off topic right now.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Give me just one more moment. How
How
much longer on my time?
7 minutes.
Okay, Melanie, did you purposefully delay the POA so that I would miss my court and law mandated deadlines for this?
No, and the POA has nothing to do with you fulfilling your duties as the executrix.
May I respond to that?
No, you can ask for questions.
How do you think that does not apply?
Because you giving the court the list of Betty's assets as of the day she died had nothing to do with whether David ever had a POA or not. And we only did the POA because you threatened to call the cops on his outstanding warrant if he did not sign the POA over to you or Matt in 24 hours. And so we said, okay, go ahead, call the cops. He's not signing POA over to you or Matt.
Are you aware that David would not talk to me about even his beneficiary distributions?
No.
Are you aware that he said he had too much anxiety to deal with any of it?
He does have a lot of...
Hearsay.
Sustained.
Are you aware, Melanie, that I had to get a POA for him in order to get him what he was asking for and what you were asking me for?
Objection, relevant, assumes facts that are not in evidence, calls for a legal conclusion.
Overruled. Sustained. Sustained.
If you were so concerned, Melanie, about the money and about David, why didn't you come down when I offered to fly you down?
Objection, relevant, argumentative.
Overruled. You can answer that.
I can't answer that.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, what was the question? You asked why I didn't come
Yeah.
to Houston. I don't see the need for me to do that. And if I came, I would pay my own way. I would not take money from anybody else for that. David has several friends in Houston that were willing to help him do whatever needed to be done. I I didn't need to come.
Do you remember the conversation I had with you on the phone where I said, I need help? Because you said you weren't doing things fast enough. I said, I need help. Will you please come down? Do you remember that conversation?
You don't need my,
Hearsay, assumes facts that are not in evidence, argumentative.
Sustained, overruled. Next question.
Sustained 2 out of 3 is that means sustained. That's good. You only need sustained on 1.
Are you aware that his quote friends were not helping with any of this process as well?
Objection, assumes facts that are not in evidence, relevant.
Overruled. Next question.
Melanie, do you agree that I need your help now?
not to,
Objection, calls for speculation. I'm not even sure what she's asking, to be honest with you.
Overruled.
Melanie, do you
Wait, hold on. I overruled the objection, so she can answer the last question. Are you?
I think generally this judge is pretty good, and I've really agreed with a lot of her rulings. So that one, this is minor. It's a minor point, doesn't matter. But I mean, that question is ridiculous. That's straight Care Bears. It has nothing to do with this stuff. I would sustain an objection all day long.
Aware that she needs your help now? That was the question.
to fulfill your duties as the executrix, you need my help?
Is that your question?
Are you aware that I needed your help with David specifically so I could meet my duties?
No, because whether David lived in the house or not had nothing to do with you turning in the documentation required by law by the executrix.
That hurt, didn't it?
Do you agree that I need your help right now to move David forward?
As his POA, yes.
As executive responsibilities go then, how would you do it differently with David and his conditions?
Objection, relevant, calls for speculation, calls for legal conclusion.
Okay, so as to relevance, it's sustained, which relieves the necessity to rule on the final two. Next question. You're on mute.
Hold on one second. Okay, outside of me submitting my photos and documents for evidence, I have no other questions at this time.
Okay. Ms. Bryant, do you have any redirects?
Briefly, Your Honor. Melanie, has David ever filed for disability, or has he been adjudicated to be disabled at any point in time that you know of?
Are you asking me or Melody?
You.
Melanie, excuse me.
Okay.
You, mistake. And then
Okay.
counsel, you have 10 minutes for redirect.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, mistake.
No, he has not filed for disability or anything like that yet.
Are you aware whether David has any bank accounts in his name?
He has one bank account in his name.
Is that bank account joint or solely?
Ma'am, you're not allowed to ask questions right now.
I'm so sorry, Your Honor.
Melanie, are you aware of how the notice to vacate was delivered to David in November by Ms. Patton?
Yes.
Did she provide it to you as the POA for David?
No.
Did she provide it to David directly?
Yes.
Melanie, to your knowledge, is Fidelity an asset of the estate?
It is, but it's not part of the will. It's outside the will, and so doesn't have to wait for probate.
Okay. Your Honor, that's all the questions I have for Ms. Dake.
All right. So you can recross based on that last round, because she did not use very long, you have 3 minutes.
Use them wisely.
1 second, please.
Get ready.
Melanie, are you and David legally divorced?
Yes.
Eviction.
Objection, Your Honor. I don't know if you heard Corey.
I didn't hear what the objection was.
I was just going to object on relevance, but I'll withdraw the objection. She answered the question. That's fine.
Exactly.
And what was the date of your divorce?
September 25th, 2019.
Let me sit here and drool off my chin for 3 minutes. Mute myself. Play some paddle ball.
Do you realize that Betty changed the will before that date?
Objection. Objection. Relevant.
What is the relevance?
The relevance is that she made changes to the will while Melanie was still married to David, and therefore she trusted me as her executrix to do what needed to be done and not Melanie or David or Tim.
Okay, so that the objection is sustained. If it helps me, I think that's probably evident from the will itself that's in probate.
Yeah, I have no further questions other than to have another date scheduled.
All right, Ms. Bryant, do you have any questions
For Ms. Dake,
for redirect?
Ms. Dake, is it your understanding that as the beneficiary of this estate, that it's your job or your responsibility to help Ms. Patton perform her duties as the executor?
No, not at all.
We rest, Your Honor. We don't have any further questions for her.
Ms.
I should
Patton,
say we don't have any further questions for Ms. Dake. We're not resting just yet. Excuse me.
Ms. Patton, do you have any questions based on that question to Ms. Dake?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Bryant, call your next.
Hello.
Your Honor, roll call Melody Patton.
All right, Ms. Patton, I need you to raise your right hands. I need you off mute. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, and so this is the point where I know there's been some help with technical difficulties and questions and all that stuff, and that's fine. But what nobody can do is instruct you how to answer questions as a witness. So I'm going to instruct you while you are under examination as a witness that you not place yourself on mute and that you ask anyone who's in the room with you to leave so that you are not receiving any coaching from the sidelines as to how to answer questions.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm alone.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Bryant.
Ms. Patton, where do you live currently?
28411 Dobbin Huff Smith Road, Magnolia, Texas, 77354.
And who do you understand owns that property?
Betty Patton.
Do you pay rent to the estate to live there?
Yes.
Where do you deposit that rent?
I pay it directly to the mortgage company.
Have you ever opened an estate account for the estate?
Yes.
Where is it?
At Chase Bank.
Okay, when did you open it?
I have to look at my records. It was a couple months ago.
Approximately how much money is in that account?
$0. As I've said, there's no estate funding right now because I can't get the house sold, and the beneficiaries are the only other estate funds.
When you say estate funds, what are you referring to?
I'm referring to any money that the estate has, which would be house sale proceeds or assets, and all the assets are divided among beneficiaries. And so that means that without a house sale, the only estate funding available is beneficiary money.
Are you operating a business out of the Dobbin Huff Smith property?
Yes.
What's that business?
It is a dog breeding business, and dog breeding business.
Who are the owners of the dog breeding business?
Linda Cotis.
Are you an owner in that business?
No.
Does the business have a lease with the estate to operate a business on that property?
Yes.
How much rent does the business pay to operate on that to have a lease on that property to operate?
The business was, we settled with Betty that the business would pay 50% of the mortgage note every month, but that the payments would not start until after a year of tenancy. But despite that, the business has been paying since October or November. We've been paying the whole time, and the full amount, not 50%. So we've actually paid way more than what we were required to.
Okay, so is it your testimony that the business has a lease with the estate?
The business has a lease with Betty Patton at this property.
And that was entered into before she died?
Correct. As of
Have you
October.
ever provided a copy of that lease to any of the beneficiaries under the will?
No, but I can.
Have you ever prepared an inventory of Betty's estate?
No.
Have you provided any type of notice to the beneficiaries that in your capacity as the independent executor?
Notice of what?
Any notice whatsoever, a notice notifying them that Betty had died.
Yes.
What date did you provide that notice?
March 13th. The day she died, March 13th, 2023.
Okay. When were you appointed as the executor of the estate?
Appointed on July 15th, I think. I'd have to look at my record. Do you need me to look that up?
If I represented to you that you were appointed on June 15th, would that sound correct to you? Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Actually, yes, it was her birthday.
Okay, so since the time that you were appointed on June 15th, what actions have you taken to administer this estate?
I have communicated with Fidelity regarding the beneficiary distributions. I've communicated with all of the beneficiaries, and I have sent them all forms, with the exception of David, because of this situation here. They have all gotten their account set up to my knowledge, but I
Nailed it.
don't know that for sure, so I shouldn't have said that. But I have also made sure that there is an appraiser that can come to the house to Brace Heather specifically. They just need some more information from me, and that's why I needed to get David moving along. I have also kept up all of the payments and utilities for the Dobbin property that we've discussed. I have supported David and Tim as well, which is not specifically in the will, but they had no jobs or money of their own, so that was kind of a responsibility I had to undertake. So I've made sure they didn't end up under a bridge. I have delegated Tim to clean up the Brace Heather house to get it ready for selling. That is the reason why he is there now, is not to live there. And I am giving him a very strict and close deadline to finish these things. I've also gone over there myself and have helped out. I have been in contact with the local law enforcement and neighbors to make sure that the house is kept safe and secure. I have
I had the same question.
I think that's it, because the will was pretty vague. There wasn't much in there.
I think what she means is that she'd be living in a van down by the river if it wasn't for this estate right now.
Okay, I'm going to object the non-responsive portions of that answer. Ms. Patton, have you published a notice to creditors?
No. What do you mean by notice? I guess, what do you mean by notice?
Have you provided a written notice or published a notice as required under the Texas State Code to creditors of Betty's estate?
No, but I've talked with them over the phone.
Have you provided notice per the Texas Estates Code to each beneficiary of the probate of Betty's?
Well, she really can't answer the question because she doesn't know that, which is proof in and of itself that she shouldn't be doing this.
Other than text message?
Any notice?
Then yes, they received notice via text message.
Have you filed anything in the probate court notifying the probate court or the beneficiaries or certifying that you have provided that notice?
What is the question?
How have you told the probate court that you have provided that notice to the beneficiary?
I have not told the probate court that I provided that notice.
Okay.
The attorney here, who is it? Carrie Bryant, is absolutely crushing her as a matter of law. It doesn't look like a Matlock moment because she's just laying out all the elements of the argument that she wants to make later, but she is absolutely destroying her as we speak.
Okay. But it's your contention that you have provided that notice, that you did it via text message.
Yes, and in David's case, it was verbal, multiple times verbally. Yes, is the answer.
Have you notified the secured creditors of Betty's estate?
I've notified some. Do you want me to list who I've notified?
Sure.
I've notified all of the things regarding her pension or medical or
She's notified all the pension thingies, so you can check that box.
I forgot what it's called. Obviously, Fidelity and her bank, Bank of America, American Express. I think I've missed a couple. I know I've missed a couple, but I've notified many of them. Social Security.
Hell no, I don't do probate law. I send this over to my good friend Sue Kelleher, who's been on the channel before. I've done it. I won't do it again.
Yeah, was there another question?
No. Have you prepared an inventory of the estate?
No.
Why not?
Because I could not get into the house to operate with it and do that properly because of David and the living condition there. They are hoarders, not just of stuff, but of filth, and I could not move around the house, and that's what I want to submit evidence.
Maybe we should go with hoarders of filth for the thumbnail. I don't know. There's so many good opportunities. We've got more coming up.
I could not actually take inventory properly because of all of the stuff and the filth that was there.
I'm going to object to the non-responsive part of her answer.
Overruled.
Did the estate ever pay for the utilities at the Brace Heather house?
Post-death?
That would be the estate, yes.
No. There was
Why
no
not?
money. There was no money to do so. It was all locked up in Fidelity. Under the beneficiary specifically, the only money that the estate had at the time of her death was beneficiary money and unsold property.
Which includes the Dobbin Hudson property, correct?
That's correct.
How much is that property worth?
At this time, it's worth $2 million, but it will be worth more. And I have more information on that if you want me to share.
How much is the Brace Heather property worth?
400 or well, 300,000 if I can't get it repaired properly.
Are there any efforts to sell the Hudson property?
Yes, but not soon because if you'd like more information, we're in a commercial developing area where everything around us is developing commercially, meaning the.
Oh yeah, she's a sophisticated real estate market player. She thought she'd throw some of her speculation expertise into her estate expertise, and it's quite the 1-2 punch.
Longer that we wait to sell, the more we will get for it, and so we have been talking. We've been discussing selling it, but I don't have a date. I don't have something soon like I do with Brace Heather.
So why would you choose to sell the Braves? Let me strike that. As the executor of the estate, why would you sell the Braves Heather property and not sell the Hudson property?
Well, Brace Heather was specifically told in the will, the will does not specify the Dobbin property, for one thing. The will states the Brace Heather property, and it states very specifically that it be sold upon death. And she made it very clear to me while she was living here in her last months of life that she wanted it sold immediately, and for David and Tim not to stay there. So that has been my first priority and been one of the hardest ones. And also, we can't sell the Dobbin property under the lease agreement the way it's written. And so the business would have to, I guess it would have to make an exception to the contract. I'm not sure, but because that's not my area, so I don't want to speak out of turn. But I'm answering your question, is that Brace Heather is the easiest thing to sell first, and that would release funds to David and Tim, which would make them able to live somewhere and not be in the situation that they're in now. And also it would pay off the debts as necessary.
Okay. Who are the beneficiaries of the will as you understand it, as the executor?
David and Tim are beneficiaries of the house at Brace Heather, which is the only asset listed in the will.
Okay. Your Honor, can I share my screen? I'd like to show her a copy of the will to kind of go through some of what she's testifying to.
Yes, ma'am.
Here, hopefully I can do this correctly. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, I can.
All right. Okay, so do you understand this? Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And what is it?
It's the will of Betty Patton.
Okay, and this is the will that you contend is her latest will, the one that has been admitted to probate. Is that right?
Yes, and I did forget to list Melanie's. When you just asked me who was in the will, I forgot to mention her.
Okay, okay. So, let's see here.
But as I've said, there is no open account with First Street Financial, so I can't give her that. However, I was planning on giving her any house proceeds that I could, or, I was planning on giving her whatever I could anyway, because I love her.
Okay, can you show me in this will where the Braves Heather property is specifically identified? And I can go page by page here. I'm not quite sure.
Well, I think I'll be looking with you. Definitely page 2 or 3.
Okay, here's page 2.
Keep going. Okay, I'm wrong. Keep going. Keep going. That's the end?
That's the end.
Well, then we missed it.
Okay. Let me go back. This is page 3. You see it on page 3?
No.
Okay, page 2. Do you see it on page 2?
It's almost like she's not familiar with the documents she's supposed to be executing.
I see that it says my estate.
Well, yeah.
Okay, go back up, go to page 1 then. Okay, so it's just
that myself, Rusty.
so I mean it's number 2 then, right there where it says it doesn't mention Brace Heather by name, but it's talking about the real property that she has possession of at that time, which at that time was only Brace Heather.
Ma'am, is that your soul leaving your body?
you would agree and you agreed with me earlier, right, that the Dobbin Hubsmith property that you live in today is owned by Betty Patton. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So at the date Betty died, she owned both the Brace Heather property and the Dobbin Hubsmith property. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to look right here for me in this first sentence. If you can you see that what I have highlighted on my screen?
Yes.
Okay, can you read to me right here who Betty is identifying as her children?
My children shall refer to David Boyd Patton and Paul Timothy Patton. Any reference here in my child or someone like that?
That's fine, thank you. Okay, we're going to go to paragraph 4, subparagraph B. Can you please read to me that highlighted sentence that I have there?
It is my will and desire that all of the rest and residue of my estate of every description, real, personal, or mixed, which I may own or in which I may have an interest at the time of my death shall pass and vest absolutely and in fee simple in my children equally.
Okay, and what do you understand that sentence to mean?
Well, it means that at the time of her death, anything that she possesses of her estate will be divided equally between David and Tim.
And you would agree that in her estate at the time that she died, she owns the Brace Heather house and the Hubsmith house. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you would agree that under Betty's will, the only two people who will have an interest or who have an interest in any of her stuff, including those two properties, is David and Tim. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. But it's your testimony that you need to sell the Brace Heather house now, which David was living in. Strike that. Why is it again that you need to sell the Brace Heather property now?
Because one, it's the quickest way to get funds for the estate, which was very necessary to continue supporting David and Tim. I could not get David's Fidelity money because he wouldn't talk to them, he wouldn't talk to me, and I didn't get the POA from Melanie. So therefore, he had no money of his own. And the only money I had for him was resting in that house to be sold. And 3, I needed to pay debts off. And so really that was the most easily liquidated asset available. And before Betty died, she verbally, because she lived with me her last 3 months of life, she told me very specifically to sell Brace Heather quickly and not to let the sons live there, and especially not together. So I have done that, or I've attempted to do that.
Your Honor, I think I jumped the gun here. At this time, I'd like to admit the will into evidence as Exhibit A.
Oh, it
Objections?
sure
There being no objections, A is admitted.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and
She claims lots of conversations that are favorable to her, but absolutely unverifiable.
stop sharing my screen here. I guess I just hit pause. Okay. So you're understanding, you agree with me that under the will, all of Betty's property is to go to David and to Tim. Is that correct?
Yes. That's
And that would include, that would include the Brace Heather property and the Dobbin Hubsmith property, which you live at currently. Yes.
That is my understanding of the will. However, that is not.
That's right, Iris. Think outside the box. You can get this done.
What she verbally told me, which I guess doesn't matter now. She wanted it to be split among the 6, actually.
I'm going to object to what you're saying. Okay. Who's living at the Brace Heather property now?
My father is staying there. He is not living there. He just moved in recently to get the house cleaned up, and he doesn't have enough funding to stay at a hotel or get a lease somewhere. So I told him he has X amount of time to stay there and get it ready to be sold, and then that's it.
Okay, so he's living there, yes?
yes, but he is not, I mean, yes, he's living there right now, but I want it to be very clear that he is not to be staying there for anything other than getting it sold, ready to be sold.
And who, excuse me, I'm sorry, who's your father?
Paul Tim,
He's staying there, but he's not living there. And then she switches to he's living there, but I want it to be clear he's not staying there. Okay. All right, just keep grifting. Keep grifting. Nobody will notice. You go, girl.
Timothy Patton.
Okay. When did Tim move into the house?
I have to look. Maybe a couple weeks ago. Do you need me to see that right now?
Well, let me ask you this. I told you that he's been living there since November 10th when David was removed from the property. Would that sound correct to you?
No, ma'am. He wasn't
Okay,
living
so
there yet.
do you think it was before Thanksgiving that Tim moved in the house?
It was before Thanksgiving, but it was not November 10th because there was about a week and a half ish where no one was living there at all, and I was just going back and forth to check on the house.
Okay, and who's paying the utilities at the Brace Heather property currently?
Currently, the next payment will be done by Paul Timothy Patton.
Okay.
Melanie was paying it, and she's done now because she paid up through the portion that David was living there. So the next portion, Tim will take over. But
And
again,
is Tim paying rent to the estate to live there?
no,
No. Okay. Was David paying rent to the estate to live there?
no,
So would you agree that you sent a notice to vacate to David in order to allow Tim, your father, to move into that property?
no. It was
Okay,
never
so why did you send the notice to vacate to David?
because he refused to leave, and he refused multiple times. And I could not get the house ready to be sold with him living there, as per the documents and photos I'd like to send, because it's impossible.
I mean, clearly, you kick out the guy who has a right to be there, and you make space for your father instead. I don't know what's hard to understand here. And if she just had a little more meth, I think she could get through the whole will in one sitting.
The living condition he left it in, I couldn't do anything with him there. And my father living there was not even in the picture. I asked him for help. Again, if Melanie had helped me, I wouldn't have had to ask my dad. But she didn't, so I had to ask him. And he can't afford to live somewhere else right now. So that's
This is absolutely that nails it. This is despicable, and it's almost as if Carrie Bryant is onto it.
what I'm saying. I need to get that house sold. I needed help. Melanie refused to help me, even though I offered to pay her way and keep and accommodate her stay here. And so I had to ask my dad.
When David was removed from the property, did you change the locks on that property?
Yes.
It is dirty, and it's not even fun dirty. It's just dirty.
And
But
why did you do that? No, why did you change the locks on the property?
I changed the locks on the property because I did not want him to return to the property and stay there like a homeless person. But I changed the locks on Friday, which on Monday the 6th, I believe it was the date of the letter. And they had 3-day notice officially, but I actually gave them until Friday before I changed the locks. And so they had all week. And sorry, what's the next question?
Yes, by the way, I'm seeing it in the chat. The judge is done, but you have to understand, this just happened. This thing went to like 6, 7 o'clock on the last business day before Christmas. I mean, I give her credit.
Did David ever tell you that he was vacating the property?
No, he didn't tell me anything at all. Whenever I asked him repeatedly, he told me he really just didn't say anything. He just kept sitting in his chair staring at the TV. And same thing with his caregiver / friend. They made no move whatsoever to pack or to get ready or anything. And it took me having to threaten him with the cops for him to do anything. And even then he wouldn't. He barely moved out of his chair. And I gave them months of notice, and then weeks, and then days, and then I showed up and they still wouldn't make a move to pack So I gave them an eviction notice, which turned out to be for 3 or 4 days. And he got taken to jail because he had a warrant, which is not my fault.
Yes, Melody, if there's any justice in this world, you will soon be taking your showers at the Planet Fitness.
And his friend had the whole week to get David's stuff out of there and truck, and he didn't. So I don't really know why the eviction is even a problem, because they had all the opportunity that they needed to get whatever they need out of there. And also, David told me that Sean had a brother who was going to house David. So I think I said too much. What's your question?
Oh, yeah, you did.
Oh, that's actually, so where do you understand that David's living now that he was kicked out of his house by you in November?
My understanding is that he's staying in a hotel, but prior to my eviction.
I think you answered my question. I appreciate it. Thank you. So just so I understand your testimony correctly, well, strike that. Let me ask this. How long had David been living in that house at the point in time that you kicked him out?
Since 2019, I think, whenever he left Melanie.
So approximately 4 years, right? That was his house. That's how you understood. That's David's house, okay? So I understand, tell me if I'm wrong, that you kicked David out of his house, which and then moved your father in approximately a week after that.
Are you a whore?
That is not, I see how that looks that way to you, but that's not what happened.
Yeah, it looks freaking awful. It looks awful and accurate and absolutely devastating to your grift. That's the way it looks to anybody who's remotely sane.
I never planned on having my dad living there at the time that I kicked David out. I did not kick him out for the only reason other than he would not leave voluntarily, nor would he make any move to get ready to leave. And that was the only way I could get him out of there. And I didn't even mean to. He had a warrant. So I was told that he had a place to stay, but yet he wouldn't move out. His brother promised my dad and myself he has a place to go. But then whenever he actually had to leave, he's not there. So I don't know why he's not there.
Okay. Have you contacted a realtor to put the Brace Other property up for sale?
I'm doing it through Open Door.
Okay, so you started that process?
Yes.
She's handling that herself, you see, because she's every bit as good at real estate transactions as she is at probate.
What about the Dobbin husband property?
What's the question?
Have you contacted a realtor? Have you got an appraisal done on that property? Have you taken any steps to selling that property?
Yes and no. I have a realtor, but I have not taken steps to sell it yet, based on the fact that the commercial land around us is developing and the offers are going to get better if we wait a little longer.
Yeah, that and the fact that if I sell it, then I'm homeless.
And in the meantime, you intend to occupy that property as your primary residence. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would you agree with me that the estate would have money if you sold the Dobbin husband property?
Yes.
Okay. Similar to if you sold the Brace Heather property, the estate would have money, right?
Yes. But there is a lease contract in place for the Dobbin, which makes it complicated. And I don't have money to afford a lawyer right now, which the whole reason, I don't have a lawyer and I couldn't pay them to make sure I got my checklist of things done and all that too, by the way.
Oh, what's her name? Corey. I like how she tells Corey it's complicated and she doesn't have a lawyer. Meanwhile, Corey is absolutely smashed her for a half hour straight. And she's like, yeah, I'm aware that you don't have a lawyer. And if you did, I wouldn't even have to do this because they would tell you that you're fixing to get more problems for yourself than just being homeless.
So I have very limited funding right now, and the Dobbin property has a lot of repairs that are needed before I can even sell it because it's 25 years old. So it's not as quick and easy as you might think. Brace Heather is much easier.
So are you're basing that, your opinion of whether that the Brace Heather property is easier to sell based on your just objective understanding of the condition of both of these properties? Is that right?
That and the fact that yes.
You have not contacted, you, as the executor, you have not reached out to a realtor to say, I have got 2 properties in this estate. I'd like to see the viability of selling one or both of them.
I do have a realtor, and she has not gone to look at Brace Heather yet, but she definitely can if that's what I'm being ordered to do. But
has she looked at the Dobbin Hubsmith property with the idea of seeing how marketable it could be, how much you would obtain in a sale, or making any effort toward listing that property?
Yes.
Yes, she has.
Yes, but I cannot comment at this time on her opinion.
So where is it that you are getting your opinion? What are you basing your opinion that property is in a commercial development, or that would be better suited by waiting to sell it? What forms the basis for that opinion?
Financial advisors, which include my husband. He is one, and he has a financial advisor, and he has a financial advisor. So I'm going off of 3 people right now, as well as an investment.
That we're talking 2 layers of financial advisors. You people are lucky to have her. Okay, now stop asking uncomfortable questions.
Investor in our area, who is very interested in not just our section here, but surrounding areas.
And your husband lives at that property with you, correct?
Oh, I
Yes.
told you it would.
Does your husband operate that dog breeding business with you?
Yes,
Is he an owner in that business?
he's a president, but he's not an owner.
He's the president, okay. So would you agree with me that if that property was sold, that your business would have to find another place to operate, right?
Yes,
So it's directly beneficial to you and to your husband and to your business to be able to stay at that property, right?
yes, but no.
You would agree with me that if that property was sold, you...
Yes, but no. No one's even bothering with your equivocation. Just we'll take the yes. That's enough.
would have to find another place to live. Is that correct?
I would agree with you, yes, but that ought to also mean that the beneficiaries would have more funding and therefore I could pay off my estate responsibilities and be done with all of this. So frankly, I don't really care if we have to leave. I just want it to be settled properly.
Okay. And you would agree that the Brace Heather property also needs repairs. Is that correct?
It does not need repairs in order to be sold. That's only like a nice thing, like if I want to sell it for more money, which I would, but I don't have the money to put into repairs. The Dobbin property, I don't think I can sell it very well without repairing some key things, like the water irrigation system, for instance.
Okay, but I believe you testified earlier that the reason why you needed David out of the house is because you needed to get to the house to clean it up so that you could sell it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's
so
right.
Now you're testifying that the house is good as it is right now. It could be sold, yeah?
You don't understand. I'm sorry to be rude. I'm talking about cleaning it up from mess and filth and trash and stuff. Okay, the house is perfectly functioning. The repairs are not necessary to get it sold. It can be sold the way it is. Repairs or renovations, either or both. It's not necessary to get it sold, but it is necessary to get the house cleaned so there's not rats and mold and filth and stuff everywhere. You know what I mean?
Could you not have taken care of the filth and the rats and every, just the general mold while David was living there?
David does not like having people around. I felt like he was uncomfortable with me there doing that kind of stuff, but maybe I'm wrong.
Did David ever tell you that?
Yes. Not about me specifically, but he would tell me about his severe anxiety issues. And I went over there many times, but I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Oh, sweet Jesus. What?
Who, as you understand it, are the 2 beneficiaries of Betty's estate?
David and Tim.
David and okay. And as executor, what is your responsibility to David and Tim?
To make sure that they have the money saved up for them, and to make sure that they are not under a bridge. And that's it. And by the way, Tim also is a resident here at the Dobbin property, and David was offered residency here and refused.
But you also agree that if you sold the Dobbin husband's property and the Braceheather property, the estate would have money, right?
Yes.
And if the estate had money, that would go 50% to David and 50% to Tim, right?
Yes.
So as you stand here today as the executor of the estate, why not sell both the properties?
I'm working on it.
Yeah. But you've actually made no steps to sell the Dobbin husband's property at all.
I've talked, like I said, I've talked to the realtor, we've talked to investors, and we have been told by the financial advisors and the investors that it's better to wait a little longer for the developing area around us to be completed so that our value of the property can be much higher and therefore have much more to give to the beneficiaries and to pay off the debts. That's what I've been advised.
By who?
By the financial advisors and by the investors. And the person too.
Okay, can you tell me the name of the financial advisors and the investors that you have spoken to?
Jim Lyon is financial advisor. My husband, Matt Codis. Rocky Del Papa is an investor.
Our financial advisor husband, who is currently living rent free in a house he can't afford, advised that they should wait for the market to improve.
And there was one more. Leslie Sullivan is the real estate agent.
Okay. So if I talk to Jim and Leslie, they would tell me tell me everything that you're telling me right now. That you talked to them about selling the property and they advised you to not sell it.
Yes, but I'm not sure that that Jim would remember.
And it's spectacular.
For me specifically, because it's been a long time, or maybe a few months since we talked to him initially, and my husband talked to him, not me. So I don't know if you asked him my name, he would remember.
So it was actually your husband, Matt Codis, who spoke to Jim. Is that right?
Yes, because they speak the same financial language.
Okay. What does your husband do?
What?
What does your husband do for work?
He's a business consultant, financial advisor, and accountant.
Okay. To your knowledge.
Yeah, I think my guess is after seeing his testimony, he's unemployed. That's my guess, but I don't know. I don't know. You guys tell me after you see him.
Does the estate have any ownership in any other businesses besides the dog business?
He did have. Well, he started the Fieldings restaurant. So if you've been there in the Woodlands, you can look it up, fieldings.com. He was a co-founder, and he built 3 of those, and also Pelly Pelly in the Woodlands. He was a founder of that, but he's no longer involved in those ventures.
I'm sorry, I was referring to the estate. Does the estate have any ownership in any business?
Yes, he's no longer involved. That statement is true, as he was never involved in the first place.
Betty had an agreement, a verbal agreement with us, and we never got the paperwork finished. She was to be a partial owner in the dog business, but we did not push paperwork in her face when we had the opportunity to, because she was sick with a broken neck, and I did not care to do any of that stuff at that time.
What about an entity called Patton Perfect?
Yeah, I have that, but we haven't done anything with it.
Did Betty own anything in that entity?
I think so.
Okay. What about Dinky Dinker?
No.
Did she just say, what about Dinky Dinker? Or am I losing it? What's going on here?
You don't know Thinky Dinker?
It sounds familiar, but maybe it's something off of Netflix.
I bet it does.
No, it's not anything to my knowledge.
Yeah. So, and what's your plan with the Dobbin Hustis property? Are you intending to sell it anytime soon?
I think I already mentioned I want to sell it at the best time it is to sell. And right now with inflation and real estate, there is a good time and there is a bad time. And right now is not the right time. But if I had proper funding, for one thing, I could do what I needed to get it repaired and get it sold. But I don't want to do that until it's the right time to sell. And I haven't gotten an offer that I've been advised to take. But I have HOA meetings that they're specifically talking about widening the road, adding a school, doing things that would very much accentuate or increase the value. So I can show you an article that literally says what I'm saying. The property value is rising as we speak because of the developing area around us.
So you have no plan to sell it as of right now?
That's not true. I do. I'm not going to sell it tomorrow, and I'm not going to sell it to Open Door. But I have my eyes open for the right offer, and I'm making sure that I make the sale at the right time per my advisors. So I absolutely have a plan to sell it, and I've told the rest of the beneficiaries as well that they would have they have a place to stay if they need it. I offered Dave and Tim to live here. Tim did, but David declined, like I said. So in the meantime, while I'm not selling it, I'm trying to use it for the purpose that Betty wanted, which was family, and they have declined. Tim did not decline. He stayed here, but the rest of them declined.
But in the meantime, until that property sells, you intend to live there as your primary residence until the point it is sold, right?
Yes.
And you intend to operate your business out of that property, right?
Yes.
How much money are you paying towards the mortgage every month?
$8,000, approximately.
$8,000. And it's your position that you are paying that personally directly to the mortgage company?
Correct.
And you're paying the taxes on that property?
Yes.
Okay. Have you paid any creditors of Betty's estate?
Not very much because I can't afford to because of all of what we talked about.
Which creditors have you paid?
I've paid a portion of it to my husband. I paid a portion to it to the Bulldogs business because they were owed money. And which is not Matt, it's his family. And I paid something else off. State Farm. Funds have been very limited. I could really not do very much. I mean, it was enough to pay the mortgage and to support David and Tim.
So the funds that you did have available to you, and tell me if I'm wrong, you paid to your husband, right?
Not all that he's owed, but I paid a little bit. And I don't know what the number is right now. I can give you all the records, but I had a very limited amount of funds, so I gave a little bit to him, a little bit to the Bulldogs business, a little bit to the insurance and the mortgage, and the utilities, of course, but that's not really a debtor. But yeah, I made sure everything was kept up and running in the meantime, and I gave what I could to the people that had been owed the most. But there was hardly a drop in the bucket.
So you paid the mortgage for the Hustis property where you live, right? You paid the utilities for the Hustis property where you live, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But you were not paying the utilities on the Braceheather property where David was living, right?
I was until the time that I could no longer afford to do so because I had $5 left in my bank account. Sorry, 19. And I told Melanie that I could not keep paying for it. And so she took over. Okay.
And is that why you never had the AC repaired in the property?
I did not know that the AC was out. Nobody told me until I went there and I saw, well, okay, sorry. David and his friend did not tell me about the AC. It was a word of mouth from someone. And so I had no idea. And apparently by the time I was told by whoever, it had been out for months. I didn't know. And I would have done something about it at the time it had happened because I had the money, but no one told me.
Are you aware that the estate code has an order listed of what you are allowed to pay as the executor?
Oh, say that again. A what?
Are you aware that the Texas Estates Code has a defined list or order of the claims that you are allowed or what you are allowed to pay out of estate money?
I'm aware that it exists. I don't know what it says.
Okay. Are you aware that David and Tim cannot live together?
Yes.
Based on prior things? Yes, you are aware of that. Okay.
That was Betty's specific instruction, which is something that I'd definitely been trying to follow.
Okay. So your solution to that was to remove David from the house and allow Tim to move in, right?
Right, but again, that's only temporary. And before any of this, David had an offer to live at the Dobbin residence in his own detached garage. It also has a kitchen. Like it has like 3 rooms in it. It's a studio apartment. We offered him to live there, and he would be separate from where Tim was staying. So I just want to point that out. That was offered to him free of charge. He declined. It's still open, but he declined. I'm trying to do my very best to be a good executor and family member. I hope you can see that, but that's not why you're here. What's the next question?
Did you notify the mortgage on the Dobbin husband's property that Betty is deceased?
I did, yes.
Do you think you were acting as a good family member and a good fiduciary to David by having him forcibly removed from the property and allowing your father to move into there?
I did that because he would not comply with my previous requests. So I get why you think I was being
I'm going to answer that with a no.
a bad family member by doing that, but that's the only way he got out of his chair, and that's the only way to get his stuff out of there. And again, it would not have actually happened. He would not have gone to jail if he didn't have a warrant. And so, again, I was told he had a place to go to, his friend's brother's house. That was their agreement. He told him, David said, I'm getting the names mixed up. Blake is the person who has the house for David. Blake told my father, who told me, that it would be ready to live in 2 weeks. And yet David would not leave when he could have. And he did not make any moves to pack. So I thought in my head, he has a place to go. He's just not going anywhere. And I had to threaten him before he did anything. And then I had to evict him because he still wouldn't do anything.
But as you sit here today, you never evicted David from that house. Is that right?
But what?
You have never filed for a forcible detainer action in the JP court to have him evicted from that house. Is that correct?
I've never done that. No, he just has the notice.
Okay. And are you aware that David obtained a writ of re-entry from the Justice of the Peace Court declaring that your lockout of him from that property was unlawful?
I'm aware that it exists.
How are you aware that it exists?
Because I got it in the mail.
You got it in the mail. Did you get red tags on your gate to your property from the Montgomery County Sheriff when they were trying to serve you with notice of that writ?
I've got one tag.
Did you call the sergeant and ask
So that's a yes. Your string of losing continues.
him what he was trying to serve you with?
No, I spoke to them about another matter. I did not call the sergeant personally. I called the Montgomery Sheriff's Office, and I dealt with my issue, and they did not mention anything to me about that. That was actually, I called them prior to getting that in the mail, wherever it is. It came in the mail later to me than when I called them. So when I called them, they should have said something to me about the issue you're saying, but they didn't. So I don't know what to say.
So you've seen the writ of reentry that the Justice of the Peace Court granted in David's favor. You have actually seen it.
I have now, yes. It's a letter that I just recently opened.
Okay, and that says that you are commanded to give David possession of that property, does it not?
I would have to read it again before I agree.
Yeah. But first, she's going to have to learn how to read.
But you would agree with me, if it said that, you would be commanded to give him possession of that property. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I also have already told him he can come in anytime to get his stuff. I have that in writing. I've already told, not him, sorry, to Melanie. I said he can come
I agree. Carries the bomb. I'll try a case with her anytime.
whenever me or Tim are there to let him in, get his stuff. And she told me he can't do it all week and to get back later. So that's where we are. He doesn't have his stuff because he doesn't come get his stuff.
He doesn't get his stuff because you locked him out of the house. Is that not correct?
It is. I have full access to it, and I told him, when can you come over? Let me know. And Melanie said he can't come.
This really is a deliberate whipping, but it's so fun for me. I don't know why. I just enjoy it.
This week. So I said, okay, let me know when he can come, and we'll make sure he gets his stuff. There is complete openness. He just can't live there. And if you would see my documents, which I will give you, I don't trust him to have keys to that house because he will just live there. And I can't, and again, Tim is not living there long. I want him out in like a week and a half. I'm not kidding with you.
Wait, if he's not living there, then why do you need him out?
But you agreed with me. I'm sorry. You agreed with me previously that under Betty's will, Tim and David own 1/2 of everything that Betty owned when she died. Is that correct?
Yes. That does not mean that they can live there if I can't sell the house with them living in there, which was.
But that would mean that David effectively owns 1/2 of the Braes Heather property, right?
I think so, but this is why I want a lawyer, because now you're asking me questions.
Well, I'm a lawyer. That's the way I read it. You know, if that helps you, if that helps you, Melody. Yeah, you know, Corey over there seems to think that's the case. My guess is the judge is going to see it that way, and I see it that way. So, I mean, we're going to save you some money here. That's the way we see it.
And I feel like you're cornering me, and I don't even have the document in front of me anymore.
Oh, she's cornering you. It's absolutely her job. She's doing a spectacular job of it, and we're all enjoying it.
So I don't feel comfortable with these questions, and I don't feel comfortable without a lawyer.
Okay. Your Honor, I think at this time I don't have any further questions for Ms. Patton. And truthfully, Your Honor, I'm not intending for this hearing to go so long, and I have to make arrangements for my husband to pick up my daughter from daycare. If there's any way I could have like a 5-minute break to call
I think our court reporter would probably appreciate that too.
I've always been a giver.
I don't think anyone expected it to take this long. So we're going to take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
It sure is.
Okay, so if we are all still here and about, Jackie, are you still there?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Jackie, are you okay to keep going? I know we didn't give you notice we were going to be doing this.
Yes.
You're okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Ms. Bryant, had you passed
Your Honor,
the
I think
witness?
it is, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Had you passed the witness?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
So, Ms. Patton?
Yes.
The way that this kind of would normally work, or normally work, is if you had a lawyer, then at this time the lawyer would be able to cross-examine you, and just like you did with Miss Dake, right, where y'all both took turns. So in situations like you're in right now where there is no lawyer, we call it a witness can testify in the narrative, which basically means you can just tell me what it is you need to tell me, and you've been trying to tell me some stuff, and so here's your first opportunity to do it. I would just ask if Ms. Bryant makes an objection. If she says I object, just stop talking, let her make her objection, let me rule on it, and then we'll get back to your testimony, okay? So I'm assuming you'd like to testify now.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
And also, I'd like to add that after the complete hammering you took on direct, this better be good.
Okay. a lot of what Melanie said when she was speaking earlier was incorrect or false. And me and my husband have been doing nothing but trying to keep this family afloat. And the fact that Fidelity would not give Betty her regular distributions or the actual money she had liquidated, she needed that money in order to fund the people in the family. She was supporting almost everybody, and she needed the money for other things, right? And so she couldn't get any of that. And so me and my husband, we're both entrepreneurs. We operate our own businesses, so it's hard financially on us a lot of the time. And we took that responsibility on. I took her in. She lived with me here at the Dobbin property, which she invested in. Because the stock market was going down, Fidelity was being difficult, she invested it in the real estate, and she wanted to have it. Sorry?
I'm sorry. Was that?
I'm just gonna, yeah, I'm gonna object to the extent she's testifying about things that occurred prior to the decedent passing away.
That's overruled. Go ahead.
So she had this intention with this property to be for family and to make sure that all of her family members were properly supported. When she could no longer financially cover these things and these people, we did, and we covered her. We took her in. We took care of her while she had a broken neck. I did everything I possibly could. You can look at the police webcams the night that she passed away. We did everything. And from that time on, I've gotten nothing but strife from Melanie, and I asked her immediately not to have lawyers because I couldn't afford any. And she did. She bucked up with lawyers, and at the same time told me she couldn't help pay for David. And then like I said, she declined to come actually help me to get the process moving along. She knew from the very beginning that I couldn't get David his money because he would not cooperate, and I did not have a POA for him. I could not get the POA from Melanie for whatever reason she said. And so my hands were completely tied from helping David. I could not get him any funds released, and I couldn't get him out of the house. I couldn't get the house sold because of the condition that it's in. And I offered him stay here at the Dobbin house. I offered him, my husband too, offered him everything he could want. He had privacy, land, everything you would want, but he declined. And so now he's off on his own path, and I feel like I'm being a really bad family member, but I'm trying very hard to follow her wishes now, and that has come in the form of tough love because David has been completely...
Finally, something we agree on. I think you're being a really bad family member as well.
...uncooperative to actually helping this cause. Not only that, but because the will was not ever redone, because Betty did not list some specific things in the will that she verbally told me she wished she had. But at that time, I couldn't get her to sign documents. I didn't want to push them in her face, right? And I couldn't do that part of it because I was trying to take care of her, and she ended up passing away way earlier than I think she should have. And so here we are in this mess. And I am the only person in the family that she trusted to be her executor. My dad and his brother David are not capable, as Melanie has also said in writing to me. Everybody in the family agrees. They agree. They don't want to do it. They can't do the job. I am the only person who can. And I very much request that you don't remove this from me, because Melanie has been in Georgia my whole life. She's never said anything to me that she's concerned about. If she's actually concerned about something, she doesn't talk to me about it. She goes behind my back. She tries to take over. And if she's jealous, she's jealous. But I have done everything I could. And now my credit is completely wasted. So with my husband's, we have no money. I literally have $5 or something in my bank account right now because I can't get estate funds released other than the house being sold. Yes, that includes Dobbin, but I can't sell it right now. But I have planned to, unless David and Tim want to move here. I'm sorry, David, because Tim is going to be here again. He's only at the Brace Heather residence right now to help clean it up, like I said. I just request that you see my side for what it is, because I think that Melanie is acting very unfairly, and she doesn't know what she's talking about. And I've given her every opportunity to know. I have video chats. I offered her to come down. I flew down her sons, my cousins, Josh and Nick. I flew them down, had them out for a whole weekend. answered whatever questions. They recorded my conversation with them. They told me they were recording it so they would give it to Melanie, but apparently she never listened to it. So I've done everything I possibly can to get Melanie on board. I've asked her for her help. Before I asked her for her help, she was demanding that she help me. And at that time, it was the wrong time, and now she won't help me. So I'm in a spot. I don't have enough funding even for a lawyer. And Melanie has spent all of her money on lawyers, which I think was unnecessary. And I know I'm...
Objection, Your Honor. There's no evidence in here about who's paying our fees or how those are being arranged. I don't think
So, and if I'm allowed to call a witness, I can have you speak with my husband, but he's not necessary to speak with you. I mean, I've given you the information that I think I have, but I know.
So you can't call witnesses just yet because we're still in Ms. Bryant's case in chief, but you'll have an opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, and I've made sure that Melanie's money, like I've tried to find that First Street Financial account, but they don't have anything for anyone under Patton, Betty, Boyd. There's nothing there. And so I'm not sure if that lawyer made a mistake, the lawyer that drew up the will, but I can't find anything with that account. And everything that did exist was already spent on David, because he has a lot of health things. So I don't really know what she wants me to do about her money, because she's not a beneficiary of Fidelity. So I will try to get her whatever money I can from house proceeds if there's something left, but I can't follow the will in regards to her beneficiary.
What the hell was that?
I think so. I just,
Okay.
yeah, I think so.
Ms. Bryant, do you have any redirects?
Ms. Patton, is it your testimony that you don't have enough money in the estate to pay for an attorney to represent you as the executor of the estate?
That's correct.
It's also your testimony that you have enough money to pay to fly Melanie and Josh and all these other people down here?
I did. That was in the summer. I don't have any more now.
And is that because you paid that money to your husband and to your dog breeding business and to support the this property?
My dog breeding business does not have any income right now. I've had to take on debt in order to make these house payments and to continue supporting my family. We are in debt. That's all there is to it. I've not paid off any creditors completely. My husband has gotten a smidgen, and that was only to cover his own family because he has kids. So we don't have anything. I did not pay him off, and now I'm benefiting from that. Like, we have nothing, and we have.
Oh yeah. Her husband got money to pay for his family. She just throws that in there like it's not real important.
No credit either, because we took on credit card debt to do things too. Like, it's been a lot. I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm not being what Melanie has made me out to be. We are trying our hardest.
Are you aware that
I'm not trying to be rude, but you are.
Betty named a successor executor in her will?
Am I aware that Betty did name who?
Named another executor in her will in the event that you could not serve as the executor.
Josh Patton, who has to be either a Texas resident or have a representative in Texas. And I've been in communication with Josh, but he's been unresponsive.
Okay, but you would agree that that Betty did name a successor executor in her will, right?
She did name him, but he would not be able to do his job without a Texas representative.
Okay, was there another executor named in the event that Josh could not serve?
Nicholas, same point. They both live in different states. They're not in Texas.
Okay. And you agree that David lived with Betty in her house for 3 to 4 years prior to Betty dying, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And in that time, you did not live there at the house with Betty, right?
That's correct.
And Betty lived with you for approximately, 6 weeks months after she fell and broke her neck and before she passed away. Is that right?
I think it was a little bit more than 6 weeks.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it was a couple months, right? I mean, it wasn't a year. It was a couple months, right?
Yes.
And before that, she was living with David, with her son, at the Bray's house, and presumably David was taking care of her. Is that right?
That is incorrect. David was not taking care of her at all. It was horrible.
Okay, but she lived there with him
Yes.
willingly, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Tim also lived there for a period of that time.
Okay. And Melanie is not asking to be made the executor of Betty's estate. You understand that, right?
I'll have it in writing that she was attempting to remove me and that she could do it herself. So if she's not trying anymore, she was.
Okay. I don't think you answered my question. Let me ask it a different way.
Yes.
Do you believe that Melanie Patton is asking to be made the executor, to be named the executor of Betty's estate?
Not necessarily. I'm not sure. I don't know what her motive is, but I think there is a motive of something in there because she's trying very hard to get me removed and I'm the only one actually doing something or trying to, and she's getting in my way.
Do you feel overwhelmed by your duties as the executor of Betty's estate?
Yes, because of the difficulties that Melanie and David have put me through. That's the only reason why I feel overwhelmed. Otherwise, it'd be quite simple.
Okay. Have you allowed your husband to handle estate
So I'm not grifting. Melanie's a meanie. All right. Fair enough.
affairs on your behalf?
Yes, as necessary. But what affairs are you talking about? Because that's very open.
Has your husband handled business for you and your capacity as the independent executor of Betty's estate?
Does talking to David or talking to Melanie, is that included in that?
My question is simply, has Matt handled anything for you that you would have handled yourself as the independent executor of Betty's estate?
Yes, if we're talking about conversations with people, because that's what I'm talking about, is he's had conversations that I've asked him to have with David or with Melanie or with me. And only because Melanie wouldn't talk to me or because David wouldn't talk to me. I'm only doing it as necessary.
Whose decision was it to pay back Matt some of the money that he supposedly is owed by the estate?
It was my decision. And I only did that because we had no money in our bank account. And I only did that as little as I possibly could because I'm trying to support everybody. So I know what you're saying, but I am not siphoning off money for my husband. He put in over $500,000 into the Patton estate. And
I agree. He's siphoning money from you, but not really you because it's not yours, but from this estate, the money that he has no right to.
there's nothing in there for him to be paid back. So I want you to know that he is their biggest creditor. Okay. And he probably will have to wait a long time for any of that. I don't know.
Has he submitted a claim
Count me as skeptical on this claim.
to you for the amount that he supposedly is owed by the estate?
What do you mean submitted a claim?
Has he submitted a claim to you as a creditor of the estate?
I mean, yes, we talk about it. Is there, yeah,
absolutely. Yes, we talk about it. That's
so
he's
verbally.
Yes,
you're just going to say he's verbally told you that he is paid $500,000.
Yes.
To the estate.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have another court something here because he's going to have to be represented. Like, yeah. Like, I want to avoid all of this. This is why the Dobbin property being of high value and increasing in value is important. Because if I sell it right now, I'm going to be out millions of dollars when I could wait, pay off the other stuff, get the other things sold, and have way more in my property value and Betty's property value to actually pay off everybody and give the beneficiaries what they're supposed to.
There was the telling slip in my property value. You already conceded on the record that you have no interest in these properties. None. Zero.
And like I told you before, I was going to give all of the beneficiaries a portion of that because that's what she verbally told me before she died. Not just David and Tim, but I know what I have to do for the will. So whatever.
Who are the beneficiaries of Betty's estate?
David and Tim.
Are you a beneficiary of Betty's estate?
Not in the will. She verbally told me she wanted to include the Dobbin house proceeds for all of the 6 beneficiaries like she did with Fidelity, but that's not in the will.
Oh yeah, she told me she wanted me to be the only person to take the house exclusively right before she broke her neck.
So when you represented to the court at the beginning of this hearing that you were a beneficiary of Betty's estate, that was not correct, was it?
No, but I thought that included Fidelity. My apologies.
Okay.
Is that separate from when you say you're not including the beneficiaries under Fidelity? Because that's all that I was talking about. That's all that I have beneficiary claim to.
Okay, so my understanding of your testimony is that the only monies connected to Betty that you were to receive was from a Fidelity account that passed outside of her will, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you understand that that Fidelity account is not a part of Betty's estate?
I did not understand that. And then I am a creditor as well, not just the beneficiary. And my husband and I are married. We share bank accounts. We've been common law married now for over 9 years. I have a wedding ring. So if that's called into question, that's legitimate. So.
But as we sit here today, you have no documentation from your husband that supports any type of claim that he may or may not have in the estate.
I do. But if you want him to get into detail, he'll be charging a lot of money for doing so because it's going to be a lot of his time because it's going to take a long time to reconcile all of this stuff. I do have documentation. I have loads of it. But actually,
oh, and this winter's billable rate has to be high. I mean, this puts me in mind of the subsit fee schedule here.
Getting it and summarizing it and presenting it to you is going to take time, and his time is very valuable. And so
there will be spreadsheets. That's what I'm talking about here. We're not just playing around. There will be spreadsheets, and that's not cheap.
He's going to bill you for it. So I really don't want to do that. I'd really just like my family to stop lawyering up and just
look at Corey suppressing the smile.
Cooperate.
You understand that you are to receive no money from the sale of the Dobbin Husband property or the Brace Heather property. Is that, you understand that, yeah?
I do understand that. We have also put in money into the equity of the house, but I understand that legally it's going to David and Tim, of course.
Your Honor, at this time, I don't think I have any further questions for Ms. Patton.
Ms. Patton, there's one thing that I don't quite understand. So, and I think some of this is a little maybe lawyer-ish stuff, but when Ms. Bryant refers to a claim, typically that means that there has been a document that's been presented to you that details specifically the amount owed. So tell me what your husband has given to you for this $500,000 claim.
He has not presented a summarized document to me, but we have all of the bank statement records. We have all of the information as to what he put into it. He can develop that, but it's going to take some time because it got really complicated because we were mixing Betty's.
That would be a nothing. He can develop it. Yes. He can get on the Karen spreadsheets. It'll take me 8 weeks to write Cran in the cells of a blank spreadsheet. But the answer to the current question is no. He's never given me anything.
Expense with our expense, with business expense, with Tim and David and all of it. Just, I mean, money, you know what I mean? So we have everything we need to give you, but it's going to cost the Patton estate money to do so. But so he has not given me an official document that's summarized yet. And he's been waiting to do that because we don't want to say the Patton owes you more money now. You know what I mean?
Okay,
We
I understand. Okay, did you have any more testimony you wanted to give me on this situation? Not just the claim thing, but all of it.
I'm not sure. Will we be doing another court date?
It appears that way.
There is not another court date scheduled right now. That much I know.
Can we, how do I know? I haven't submitted those pictures to you yet because I'm having some trouble with the drive. So once I do submit that to you, how do we talk about that?
You have to submit them during this hearing.
Okay. How much time can you give me?
Well,
6 o'clock.
it's not something I'm going to stop the hearing for. I mean, technically, I was giving you an exception to the rules because exhibits were already supposed to be given to the court. Like, I don't know, is it 3 days in advance of the hearing? I don't know. It's not unusual for me to just work with people and not make them do that, but I'm not going to stop a hearing indefinitely so you guys can search around and do a whole bunch of, fidgeting on different phones or computers or wherever you think these pictures are.
Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase first. So how about 0 time? Produce it now or shut up.
Right now, do you have any more testimony that you can give me?
I guess I'd just like to summarize saying, so the will names Josh and Nick as successors if I am removed or whatever, but they can't do it here because they're not Texas residents and they don't have representatives here.
Absolutely.
So if they're going to come down here,
she's violating some fiduciary responsibilities. I don't know. This isn't my area of practice, but absolutely she can end up there depending on what her actions were. I didn't see all of this hearing, but I'm thinking this is implicating criminality all over the place.
Then they're going to be dealing with all the same stuff. So I'm not sure why Melanie won't help me now, given that she finally got the POA. I'm not sure why she won't help me now, but this is, I just need, I'm pleading with you is all. I don't have more to add to my testimony.
There's another thing, now that you mention it, that I haven't really followed very well on this. You keep talking about you needed a POA from, what is his name? I'm not good with names.
David.
David Patton.
You needed a POA from David. When you're saying you needed a POA from him, you needed, I don't understand. Are you saying you needed him to have someone else acting as his POA, or he needed to give you his power of attorney?
I'm saying that David refused to cooperate or even speak with me about getting his beneficiary money. And I was not allowed to talk to Fidelity without him authorizing me or him
talking about the payable and death account from Fidelity.
Yes. And also,
I mean, what a big meanie David is. He refused to talk to her after she attempted to evict him from the house he owns a half interest in with no justification whatsoever. It's interesting.
So from the life insurance company, which he was named the beneficiary of.
Okay.
I could not do anything to help him get his money because he would not cooperate on the portions that they needed to speak to him or get authorization from him.
I see what you're saying. It makes sense now. I totally get it. Okay. All right. Any more questions, Ms. Bryant, from this witness?
You're going to want him to.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Patton, I'm thinking until you get to your part of things, you're okay?
Yes, I'm going to get these things uploaded to you if I could have like 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, keep trying. We might have to take a break later for something. Ms. Bryant, do you have any other witnesses?
Your Honor, I'll call Josh Patton just briefly. I have like 3 questions for him.
Okay. Mr. Patton, if you're still with us, can you are. Okay, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I swear.
Okay, go ahead, counsel.
Josh, are you aware that you are named as the successor executor in Betty Patton's will?
Yes.
Do you have a resident agent that you have appointed or designated in the event that you are selected as the executor?
I have someone that if I'm selected that I would use, yes.
And who is that?
That would be Emily Taylor.
Okay, Emily would be your lawyer, right?
Yes.
Who would be your resident agent? It wouldn't be your lawyer.
Sherry
Lund. Okay. And as far as you understand, is Ms. Lund on the hearing right now?
Yes, I believe she's on. She was on earlier.
Okay. That's all my questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Patton, do you have any questions for Josh Patton?
Yeah, I mean, do you want this job? Are you trying to, or do you want it?
I'll do it. I just want this whole thing to go as smoothly and quickly
But
as
it's not
possible.
going to go smoothly. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get this wrapped up as quickly and immediately as possible.
If you're willing to do whatever it takes, then why aren't you cooperating with me?
I haven't not cooperated. We've communicated some, but you haven't asked me of anything that I haven't done.
You didn't respond to our last whole message about the next opportunities and the Dobbin property and everything that we were talking about.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevant.
Okay, we can talk about this another time. I don't have anything to say.
Okay, anything further, Ms. Bryant, from this witness?
No, Your Honor.
I apologize if you don't mind, and it's a little unorthodox. If I could redirect Josh with 3 quick questions that I don't think you'll be surprised by.
Okay, go ahead.
Josh,
you guys are asking a lot at 6:05 on the Friday before Christmas when this was not supposed to be even contested. And I know that's not your fault, but now you're kind of out there as the third lawyer. So
I promise I'll be quick, Your Honor.
If you must.
Josh, are you qualified to serve as the executor of this estate? Do you have a felony in the state of in the United States?
No.
Do you owe the estate any money?
No.
And is it your understanding that you are not otherwise unsuitable to serve?
Yes.
That's all I can from.
Okay, Ms. Bryant, any more questions for Mr. Patton?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Patton, any more questions for Mr. Patton?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so Ms. Bryant, call your next.
Your Honor, this time we rest.
Okay, so Ms. Patton, this moves it to your case in chief. So you can call a witness if you wanted to call your husband. You mentioned that earlier. If you want to upload those photos, this is your time to do that.
I would like to call my husband. May I have a 5-minute recess again?
5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so my husband is available to speak with you. Unfortunately, the cell phone that I'm looking for is misplaced, and that's what the photos are on, and that's why I'm delayed on that. But I would like him to testify some things for you.
Okay, so you're calling him as a witness.
I am.
Okay, so I need to see him.
Oh, good Lord. The cell phone that all the evidence that's favorable to her is on is misplaced. Mid-hearing. What are the odds?
You both don't have to be on the camera at the same time. So if you just want to let him kind of take your spot, I just need to be able to hear you though.
Okay. He's coming.
Hello.
Okay, good afternoon. Let me get you to raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I need to start.
Sorry, yes, Your Honor.
It's ma'am, that's fine. I'm fine with that. Okay. I need to start by getting your name for the record.
My name is Matthew Aaron Cotis.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Patton, ask your first question.
No, yeah, you have to ask.
Okay. Can you please explain to them more about the reason why we're waiting to sell Dobbin and not just sell it right now?
Oh, yeah, of course. in that sense, starting with the old Betty or post in the condition of the financial position.
Post now, because
Okay.
I was
The financial, the financial position of the property has increased significantly. In fact, if you take inflation into account, and I would have to go back and redo the calculations to current to make sure, the investment, the portion of the investment that she transferred into the real estate has outperformed all other portions of the portfolio. And now, because of the commercial development and the Woodlands expansion and the Magnolia Loop and the HEB, the newest HEB by the Magnolia High School, and the location and the as evidence, I could pull up a map. She could pull up a map and show you that it sits on a corner that's already zoned for open, and it can be commercial. So that the property was purchased for roughly $1.45 million, and the property next door now with no home on it, and this one has I think there's about 8,000 square feet home already done, so on and so forth, and a shop building. I think in that square footage that should be all of it. But with that, the property next door was listed for $1.5 million with no home, and that was before the.
Yes, thanks, Stoney, for providing comps that none of us believe.
The Woodlands fully coming on, the road plan all the way, and the Magnolia Loop. I apologize. So if I was to go and have an appraiser do an appraisal of the property now, roughly there might be an increase of $500,000-$600,000, and I think I'm being conservative.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Yep.
I don't know what that means.
It's okay. It just means you.
I want you to take my high-level analysis on the real estate comps in the area, but I'm not familiar with this concept of an objection being sustained.
Didn't exactly answer the question that was asked.
I mean, she asked me to give details. I apologize. Is there something more concise? There's some specific detail you would like me to be more?
No, I think that's fine. It's just because I was asked about if the estate has no funding, why are we not just selling Dobbin along with Ray's Heather?
Oh, I mean, I'm sorry. Yes, because Dobbin has enough value in it if properly placed in the real estate market. The value of it, considering the inheritance tax law that allows for the basis to go up with the inheritance, and the purchase price of the Braces of their house was around $30,000. And so the tax advantage and the cash flow advantage from selling that one first actually will sustain this one for long enough, will sustain this property and its value appreciation long enough to serve up several $1 million in investment return, as opposed to just selling off the $400,000 of the Braces of their house and this house. Because for this house to sell right now, it's the note is still $1 million. So it would, after fees and everything else like that, I mean, we'd be able to pull the equity back out of it, and that would be the most horrible financial decision ever, because there's enough money to pay for it, and it's already increasing value exponentially compared to. I mean, that's what land does. In inflationary times, land follows inflation, and that's exactly what's happening. And the banks would love for this house to get foreclosed on, or for us to have to sell it quickly, because they would make millions, and Betty and the estate would not, and not me, right? I'm facilitating the deal, and I have put my own money toward.
That is really sweet how much he cares about a property that he has zero interest in. I mean, he really is. He's a saint.
Towards it wherever necessary, to the tune of I don't even know, but that's not even. I mean, I'm here as a witness. I don't really have I have a claim, but I'm not seeking that right now. Mel, do you have another question?
Yes, I do. Could you explain any results of Josh or Nick succeeding me instead? What would that look like?
Objection, Your Honor. I'm not. It seems like she's asking him to offer a type of legal opinion. I'm not quite sure. I don't know why he's qualified to have any comment on this area. So what would happen?
Okay, I'm gonna sustain the objection. I'm not sure how he's qualified to be an expert on Josh and whoever the other successors.
I was just asking in terms of the family and what's in process right now.
Will you ask it for about a specific instance or anything like
Okay,
that?
so listen, you can't be the witness
I'm
and
sorry,
tell
I'm
her
sorry.
how to ask the questions.
I'm sorry. I don't know the rules. Yes, Your Honor.
You know the rules. You know the rules.
I didn't know that one. I did not. I because of the lawyer situation. I'm absolutely not having a lawyer. I'm 100% confused. I apologize. I really am. Yeah, yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry.
Well, you know that I've already had the discussion about
I think you could qualify him as an expert witness, like in maybe the street value of meth or something currently. That's about it.
we need to ask a question and give an answer and ask a question, and you haven't seen any witness tell anybody what questions to ask them.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Okay,
Yeah.
so stop.
It's a husband and wife relationship, and I will cease that right now. I apologize.
And I know it's difficult, but you need, yeah. Okay,
You're all
so next question, please. Oh, here's the question I think we had on board. I think what she was trying to get at, and I'll just ask you the question.
Okay.
Based on the familial relationships, as you are familiar with them, what would be the problem with these other two individuals that are named as successors in the will? Would there be a problem with them acting?
I don't know. Honestly, I mean, just like I said, I mean, I don't know. It depends on, it depends on I guess intent and heartfelt, and whether it's family and love oriented or attacks. And I mean, I think to date, I still feel like this can be a love oriented family bonding situation, but
he feels like it can be love oriented, and that warms my heart. You know how that makes me feel, right?
I mean, I don't know, and that's me speculating on him, and so I really don't know. What I do know of Josh is the meeting that we had both on Zoom with Josh, Nick, and Melanie, and the the posture and towards. I mean, he was always very respectful, and I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about him at all. I mean, just so I mean, you see, that said, I don't know how it is that he executes a will, with such property implications and the monetary values involved without being here. That's kind of the problem. Why we were flying them down here so they could be here. The fact that he's the backup executor is precisely why it was so important for him to come and see.
In his favor, however, it doesn't appear like he's currently on meth. We saw him testify. So, you can balance these things
and learn about all that's going on and get all of the information that was there. And to my knowledge, we gave all of it to him. Then it was on record, and I'm pretty sure they submitted as evidence. And so I think he's been a solid dude. I mean, that all sounds like something people should do.
I'm going to object the non-responsive portions of his answer.
That's okay.
Overruled. Next question.
I don't have the photos. Can you attest to the house?
Oh, 100%. And I might have photos if I'm allowed to look through my phone. I think I took a couple, and you did thorough photos, but I don't remember.
Just what you remember. What do you remember from?
I remember David's room. There was nothing. There was no spot on the floor left that didn't have trash. The entire room had become a trash room, and he had another bed in the living room that apparently he was sleeping on, and that was new since I'd been out there on Betty's birthday post her passing. And so I mean, it was, I don't have another word other than pigsty. But I mean, I understand he has difficulty taking care of himself. And so kind of on the caregivers possibly, I don't know. I can't point fingers, but it was definitely. Anyway, do you have, I don't. Oh, I take a lot of pictures. So I apologize. Maybe did Tim take pictures too? I mean, no. Okay. Well, the phone will be found, and we can submit that as evidence. And I don't know how that works. If it's too late, I don't know. Oh, she can submit it. I can.
You have another question?
Yeah. Can you attest to anything about David having a place to stay?
I can't understand what the question was. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Your Honor.
The question was, hang on. The question was, do you attest to David having a place to stay? That was the question.
And I can ask a question. I'm not sure what type of staying you're at the house. I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Do you have anything to add about David having another house to go to besides?
This one, yeah. I mean, Dobbin, yeah, 100%, and it was offered to him from the very beginning, along with Tim, and that was always G-Mom's intention. That was the point of the house, is because it's handicapped service doors everywhere. It's got hallways to separate out sections. It has an exterior building that's fully air conditioned and has bedrooms and full bath and a full bathroom. The property is perfect for aging individuals, as what happened with Betty. And I come from a family with a mom that's been in a wheelchair a significant portion of my life, and so probably going to end up there like that as well. So this was a joint family endeavor to put it on the map, because this property symbolizes the value and the idea, and the property being able to be basically self-sufficient if we wanted it to, means that this never goes away. So the value keeps going up, and the property stays forever, and nobody can take it unless somebody does something really, really, really stupid, I guess. But it's paid for, and there's always a safe haven for the Patton family. So that was the entire objective.
I'm going to object to the non-responsive portions of his answer.
Sustained. Next question.
Okay.
If we subjected you to a UA right now, what would you test positive for?
I guess that's all that I have.
Hey, Miss Taylor, do you have any, not Miss Taylor, I'm sorry, y'all's pictures switched spots for some reason. Miss Bryant, do you have any questions for this witness?
Just a few, Your Honor. Mr. Kotis, are you a real estate agent?
I'm not a real estate agent, no. But just to add to that, most of these many people that do successful real estate deals are not real estate agents; they're investors, and that's exactly where the deal would have gone. That's exactly where the deal would have gone.
I think you answered my question. I appreciate it. How much money have you been paid by the estate to date?
How much money have I been paid by the estate? None. For me personally?
I told her we had just.
Hold on, you can't tell him how to answer the question.
Money. No,
I don't know if you catch it because she's out of frame, but she said, I just told him I did pay you. This is on. Her witness directly contradicts her own testimony, and a witness that she called. Then she calls him out for not following the script. Of course, he's not going to follow the script because I think everyone's altered. This is where we are. This is where we are, people.
How is it that I've been paid if I'm owed money?
I told her that I paid
Ms.
you.
Patton, you cannot direct the witness with regard to this.
Yeah, please. I'll defend it. Now, if there was money that she provided, that it was money that was owed already, and so I haven't been paid anything for my services. To be specific about what we're talking about, I have not been paid for my services. Right.
My question to you simply is, how much money have you been paid by the estate since Betty died? I don't care if it's for a reimbursement or for services that you supposedly provided to the estate. It's just simply, how much money have you been paid?
I mean, I'm sorry if something else was said. I do not recall getting paid anything, reimbursed or otherwise, to be honest, except for, I'm sorry, I was, since Betty died, Tim Patton, her son, and my father-in-law did help us and kick back part of his, but that wasn't the estate. That was after it was received by him. And no, I don't recall anything else. Again, I haven't invoiced for services, and I don't have any. I mean, I don't personally have any assets or gains or things from this. I mean, I'm flat broke. I don't even have a credit score anymore. I I blew through everything trying to continue the deal that Betty had asked for.
I'm going to have to check the non-responsive portions of his answer. Who else lives with you and Melody at the Dobbin Huffsmith property?
Well, currently it's me and her that are residing here. But Timothy is also listed as living here because he's just taking care of the going on in the Braceheather, and then my understanding with his conversations is that it's his plan also to come here, right?
Currently, we've gotten rid of everybody except the straight grifters and carnies. So, it's under control.
And use his portion of whatever the sale is on that to either I don't know. I can't speak for Tim, but again, he's listed as living here because he's only temporarily at Braceheather, and this is his permanent residence.
It's beautiful.
Does your child ever reside at that Huffsmith property with you and Melody?
She does from time to time. I mean, yes, reside. I have joint custody, and in Texas that means every other weekend and Thursdays. And at this point, she's in junior high, and Thursdays are really hard because they got to get up early. And I see her less and less, unfortunately. But she has an amazing mom and a great stepdad. So she doesn't. But again, full time reside. She resides with them, and I get visitation.
Have you ever threatened Melanie Dake or David Patton with regards to the motion to remove Melody as the executor?
You would have to define threat because I don't believe I've ever threatened them.
Okay. Have you ever had a phone call with Melanie, where you threatened to destroy her or to get all legal on her if she would not withdraw her application to remove Melody as the executor?
I think that my words to Melanie in the conversation that I think you're referring to, which is hard for me to answer, right, was exactly how is it that Melody, my wife, has asked you over and over again for help and offered to pay for it, and instead of getting the power of attorney and helping and allowing the money that we have to go towards it so we can get this done and there's no conflict, I'm sorry, but you're procrastinating it and griping about it and causing a problem. And you have the money for a lawyer, but you don't have the money to help with bills, because in that conversation, she told me you need to continue to pay David's bills out of your personal pocket. So I said, well, I will have a legal argument about that. And I might not have said it in kind words, but I think it's a well-formed stance to say, why is this treatment happening when so much love is being offered and so much is being offered out? So I don't remember the conversation like that. And if somebody else sees it differently, I'm sure they're taking it out of context.
Do you know
So much love I'm feeling here tonight.
why David was sleeping in the living room at the Braceheather property?
I do not know why he was sleeping in the living room, but I can speculate that it's because of his ailments. And because his
window unit,
and because his room that he's normally in was completely full of trash.
it wasn't because the property had no AC and the only place that was air conditioned was the living room with the window unit that he paid to have installed in the property.
Okay, well, I don't know that for a fact. No, I know that Tim is there now with whatever the same setup is, and he's not sleeping in the living room and he's comfortable, according to him, and that's hearsay. But you can ask him. So I'm not sure exactly what the hell that. I mean, I've lived in places with window ACs. The house was supposed to go up for sale, and the AC would be fixed during that process, and he wouldn't budge on even conversating. So I mean, nobody told me or Melody about a refrigerator or about that. Maybe they told her. I didn't know about it until, well, just like today, I guess. I would have been more than happy to come down there and install it for him. I can install it.
His grasp of the English language is just as firm as his grasp on real estate and investment ideas.
And install the refrigerator. That's why I went down there, to be friendly with him and try to soothe family together so they can capitalize on this investment opportunity. It's not really about me. It's not. I mean, the intangible benefits, the family, being taken care of on both sides. That's what it's about. This is. I mean, I would have been more than happy to give him a given one. I mean, we've had
now he's pontificating on morality. It's all about love, people.
Replace an AC here, a full AC, and the other one out back is going out as well. And now we don't need it, so we didn't touch it. There's no money anyway. But
who paid to have that AC fixed?
I did.
Out of your own pocket?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, that's hard to say because I charged them a credit card and I couldn't afford to pay it. So yeah, out of my own pocket, and I lost my credit score. And now I'm out of that option. That we can't not have AC, just like David. And I would have done that same thing for him, unfortunately. And that's not the most ethical thing to do. But whenever grandma's got a broken neck and Fidelity denies her own cash to take care of her family and her medical needs and her wishes as she's sick, right? And she looks at me in those loving eyes and says, just make it happen, deal with it, take care of it. And lovingly, I did whatever I could to take care of everyone that was involved financially. And no, I didn't receive any benefit of any sorts. I was promised benefit from the property, right? I was promised benefit from the property on sale and later on down the road, but I don't have a legal document that says that. And I don't care. That's what I mean. Like what she promised was not even the deal that was discussed with Josh. What was offered was, hey, split it like G-Mom wanted to split Fidelity and everything else. She was trying to split everything 6 ways. So you guys just split it 6 ways or whatever.
That's right, people. That's what G-Mom wanted.
That doesn't include me.
So you'd agree you're not a beneficiary under Betty's will?
I agree. I'm not a beneficiary under Betty's will. That's correct. I'm a creditor, and I haven't decided whether to exercise my right to pursue that credit or not.
Have you submitted a claim to the estate?
I have not decided whether to exercise my right to pursue collections or not.
Are you advising Melody how to perform her duties as an executor?
I'm advising Melody on the aspects that she asked me in my areas of expertise.
And what areas of expertise do you have?
Accounting, business entrepreneurship, numbers, financial modeling, financing, SBA. I can continue going. Would you like my resume and the businesses that I've run through?
No, sir. Let me ask you this: are you a lawyer?
Am I a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
No, I'm not a lawyer, but I would be happy to represent myself in something like this.
Okay, Your Honor, I think this time that's all the questions I have for Mr. Cotis.
All right, Ms. Patton, do you have any more questions for this witness?
Mel, do you have any more questions? You have to be beside me. Do you have any? I'm sorry.
No, I don't have any more questions.
Okay, call your next witness.
I don't have any more witnesses.
Okay, Ms. Bryant, do you have any rebuttal case?
Maybe I can call my dad. Give me 1 second.
Ms. Bryant, do you have any rebuttal case?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you can, so y'all don't have any more witnesses. They're here ready to call.
My dad, I think
He's on.
he's on right now. Dad, can you hear me?
Dad.
Tim?
Okay, Tim, you have to unmute for us to hear you.
You need to take, right? She needs to take it now, right?
Take what?
Oh, here, I have a picture. Okay, let me take over this.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know how
Hey, Tim.
to. Hi,
So can I-
God bless you. I didn't know how to unmute, and so then I saw it on the phone. If you give me 1 second, let me get to a room where I'm quiet and I'm out of the way. I'm on low battery. And bless you. Okay. The host has asked me to start my video. Okay.
That would be me.
Hi. It says unable to access cameras. Why would it say that?
I don't know. Something to do with your camera, I suppose.
Maybe you're all accessing the same stash. That's my theory.
Okay, can I get you to
I'm so sorry, ma'am.
I need you to raise your right hand. Tell me when you have it raised.
My right hand is raised.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, Ms. Patton, do you have the witness is yours to ask questions?
Okay. Tim, could you please describe the state?
Hang on. My apologies for interrupting. Sir, can you state your name for the record?
Paul Timothy Patton.
Okay, now go ahead, Miss Melody.
Tim, could you please describe the living status or health status of David and Sean when you were there?
Objection,
when we
Your
got
Honor.
here,
He has no personal knowledge of that. He was not living at the property then, nor is he qualified to render an opinion about either of their health.
Would you
or the
like him
condition
on
of the
board
property.
dire? Would you like him on board dire?
Would I what?
Not you. I'm talking to Miss Bryant. Miss Bryant, would you like him to on board dire?
Yeah, I guess I have to, Your Honor, to the extent she wants to go down these line of questions with him.
Go ahead.
I don't really want to be honest with you.
I'm sure you don't want to be doing anything at this point, but we have to make it through this. So I'm giving you the opportunity to establish whether or not he has personal knowledge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Patton, did you ever live at the property with David Patton and Sean Morrison?
I attended the property and visited the property when David Patton and Sean Morrison were here. I did not live at the property during that time.
Your Honor.
And just for the record, Ms. Bryant, the court is not taking into consideration any photos that's being displayed for any purposes until it's appropriately admitted into evidence.
Thank you. Mr. Patton, did you ever live with David Patton or Sean Morrison at the property known as 6119 Grace Heather?
I did not live with them ever here. I offered to.
Thank you, sir. You answered my question. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Sir, based on what information are you able to answer the question that's before you from your daughter?
I was physically here the night that I came just to be a support to her. I was here the night that my brother was first spoken to and said that it was time to go, that night that she came over, whatever night that was.
Okay, so the objection.
And I was
hang
here.
on. That's all I need. The objection is overruled, so you can answer your daughter's question if you remember what it is. If not, she needs to ask you again.
Right. No, I remember the question.
Go
The
ahead.
question, as I recall, was about the level of squalor that was here. And
Yes.
so there was squalor in the evidence of pest infestation, which I've gotten rid of 6 mice since then. And there was in the kitchen, all of the plates and dishes and pots and everything, they were all on the counter dirty or in the sink dirty. But it was his room that was staggering, and that was that it was full of what should have been in the garbage. There were probably 15, 20 empty cans of cornstarch on the floor because my brother uses it to dry himself because of his excess weight. It helps keep his skin dry. There were bags and bags and bags of old receipts and tissues. There were hundreds of empty pill bottles and caps just all through there. It was there were piles and piles of clothes and stuff that were all covered with cornstarch from the application process, and so the whole room was covered in cornstarch. And so I could just my thoughts were,
was there any cornstarch involved?
About the situation. Now I was going to go into the situation about David's caretaker, but I don't believe that's the question. Have I sufficiently described to you? Anyway, the grass was growing up in the backyard. And then the house had just its own set of clutter problems, but that had nothing to do with my brother. It was really just the areas in which my brother frequented and the garage. It's just really wherever my brother was, just gave long accrued signs of just accumulated stuff that was just never thrown in the garbage wherever he was positioned. That's how it appeared. So
I think that answered the question, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you.
I understand your question.
Okay, the next question is, Give me 1 second. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Tim, could you please describe the relationship you have with your brother in a concise way?
I will endeavor my best. I don't know how to answer the question. Oh, it's been objected to?
No.
I will endeavor my best.
Okay. I can.
Ms. Bryant, are you
Relevant.
objecting? Relevant?
Yeah.
That's, we've already gotten into it. It's overruled. You can answer the question.
I love my brother very much. My brother says that he cannot be around me because of his anxiety. So I believe I had reached out as soon as money was available from Fidelity. And as soon as that money was available, then I reached out to I was like, okay, I've got some money here. I can leave where I was staying. I was couch surfing at a friend's at the time. And I was, and I could leave there. So I started talking to Melanie. I reached out to Melanie and David, and I asked them about, well, could I come over here and start putting boots on the ground to get the property out of the house, to get the things sold, because my whole family we looked like hoarders. Okay. And so I was going to come over here and do boots on the ground and work and try to get this stuff out and live in the back room in the master bedroom. But my brother said he couldn't live with me because I would drive him crazy. So I accepted that, and I worked with, and I was persuaded by our friend Blake Morrison to give my brother time. And so Blake Morrison was working on that. And I think I've gone far afield of the question. Anyway, I love my brother. I don't know how to help him. I don't know how to talk with him. I don't think he wants to talk with me. I love my brother, but I don't think he wants to talk to me. I think that answers your question.
Yes. In your opinion, how does the AC in the house feel?
Well, I mean, during the summer, it must have felt horrible. So the fact that he moved his bed in here made sense. But like you said, you didn't even know it was a broken thing. So the person in charge of fixing it didn't even know, because my brother wouldn't talk to anybody. But it feels fine to me now because it's cool weather outside. It's cool outside at night. I wouldn't want to be here in March without it fixed.
Hang on, Ms. Patton, I need you to start your video. Your video should be on.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry, ma'am.
No, not you, Tim. You're fine. Keep going, Ms. Patton.
Okay. Can you please comment on your observation of David's condition given the size of the house?
Well, I mean, my concern about, the house is too big for my brother, but it's too big for me. I'm only here right now just to try to get the job done so we can sell the house. I wanted to do it with David here, but he didn't want me to be here with him. So then other things transpired, and all of a sudden he was gone, and I moved in on Thanksgiving Day. If you were asking earlier about what day it was, the day I moved in on here was Thanksgiving Day, to start working and cleaning things up, taking care of the mice problem, taking care of the yard problem, taking care of the room, the garbage problem, just taking care of all those things. And now we're in the process of trying to go through the house and get all the stuff out of the cupboards and get all that kind of stuff out so we can empty this house so it can be sold. I'm not sure I answered the question. I think I went far afield again. I'm sorry.
You answered it. Thank you.
It's okay. Nobody was listening.
I think that's it.
Ms. Bryant?
Strong.
Sir, why is it that David doesn't want to live with you?
I don't know. I can field some ideas about it, but which I would do if asked, but I don't. How would I know? I'm sorry. I don't mean to be difficult. Please understand. I am autistic. I mean, I look autistic. I don't have a diagnosis, but if you line up autistic traits and you line me up, you'll see a lot of them. It has to do with being a victim of a childhood trauma thing. So I have difficulty in my CPTSD coping strategy with precision. So please forgive me if you ask me a question and I don't respond, like I don't understand it, because I really didn't. I think I misheard it. So would you favor me, please?
I need to tell you how I look autistic, despite the fact that I'm not on camera. I don't even know. I don't know where to start here.
Your question again?
I appreciate it. It's fine. Let me ask you this. Do you pay rent to live at the house?
I work to live at the house.
Okay. Do you pay the utilities at the house?
I will be when they're due.
But you haven't so far. Is that right?
Well, the last bill was paid. My brother, like I said, I moved in on November the 25th. Well, whatever that Thursday was. Thanksgiving Day. We moved in on that day. No, I had been here days before then. I had come and worked here, but I wasn't sleeping here. Like I didn't, because the house wasn't livable. It wasn't sleepable. It wasn't fit for sleeping. You couldn't do 4 basic things. You couldn't eat, sleep, cook, and do laundry. It wasn't possible. You just couldn't do it. That had to be done. So once that was done, I moved here on November 25th and then started going through a process. I apologize. Once again, I feel I've gone far afield of your question.
Who lives there with you at the property?
Right now, there's a friend of mine named Sylvia and her dog Max, and she's helping me with the straightening out of the things. I would correct Melanie.
I didn't know about Sylvia. Sylvia and her dog Max are apparently there. I'll tell you who's not there. A guy with a half interest in the property. That guy's out. But a lot of other people are there.
He referred to her earlier in testimony as my girlfriend. She is not my girlfriend.
I appreciate that, sir. You answered my question. One last question for you. Is the AC working at the house today?
I believe, okay, I don't know the answer. I'll tell you what I do know.
That's fine. Thank you, sir. That's all I needed. Thank you, Your Honor. That's all the questions I have for him.
All right, Ms. Patton, redirect.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay. All right, Ms. Pat, we're finished with your testimony. Thank you, Mr. Tim. I'm sorry, I can't remember your last name. I'm going to put you on mute now.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Patton, what else?
Did you see the photo that I shared?
Okay, so you need to upload that photo, because to use something as evidence, everybody has to be able to.
We still don't have the photos and evidence. She's had hours at this point
to have it. So you have to upload it in the chat feature in Zoom. And that will give everybody a chance to download it from chat onto their computers.
Yes. Okay. Would it be okay for my husband to come help me do that on here?
Fine.
Oh.
Do you have any other witnesses you're calling in the meantime?
No, I do not. Unfortunately, I do not have the rest of the photos. I took photos of the entire house, every room, but the photo I uploaded is of David's bedroom.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't care.
Hang on, let me get it where I can pull it up for everybody. It's in the chat screen now for anybody who would like it to look at it. And I would ask at this time if anybody has any objections to the admission of this as Exhibit B.
Your Honor, we would object to this picture hasn't been properly authenticated. I have no idea who took the picture, when it was taken, or that it's from the Brady's other house.
Okay. That's overruled. B is admitted. Anything further, Ms. Patton?
Can I call back Melanie?
I couldn't understand what you were saying.
Can I call Melanie back as a witness?
Melanie, you can. Ms. Drake, please unmute. Start your video. Go right ahead, counsel. Or go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Okay. Hold on one second. Let me get off of this screen.
You know I love you.
Melanie, can you see that picture?
No, I see you.
Can you look in your chat?
Okay, so listen, if you're calling her to ask her what she thinks about it or what her opinion of the whole thing is, that doesn't really matter. You've established what the situation was. You've blamed this as being it. What she thinks about it is regardless. It's what I think about it and what you tell me about it. So if that's what you're fixing to do, let's just not waste the time. Okay? If you've got other questions you want to ask her about, that's fine. But if this is to just like get her to admit, see, look what a mess it was, this is like part of the personal argument.
Then I just have one other question.
Go ahead.
Melanie, did you ever call Fidelity or Bank of America or First Street or any financial institution about the estate matters? And the
No, David took care of Fidelity himself once Tim gave us the information.
And didn't call First Street about your own account?
No.
One second. No, I think that's it. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Your
Ms.
Honor.
Bryant?
Thank
Cross?
you.
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Patton, call your next.
That's it, Your Honor. Thank you for
So
your
that
time.
concludes your case.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Rebuttal, Ms. Bryant.
I have no rebuttal.
Closing statement.
Your Honor, briefly, I would just reiterate to the court what I started today by saying, which is that the evidence has shown that Melody has not complied with her statutory obligation under the Estates Code. That alone is a basis for removal under Texas Estates Code 404.0035 A2 and 3. She's not returned an inventory or an affidavit in lieu. She's failed to return an affidavit or certificate of compliance under 308.004. We believe that those are bases alone for the court to remove her as executor. Beyond that, we believe the evidence has shown that Ms. Patton has committed gross misconduct or gross mismanagement of the estate. She has benefited one beneficiary over the other, and that she removed David Patton from the estate property to allow her father to move in, and not to mention her own her own family occupying the Dobbin Hucksmith property with for her own personal use and for that of her business. She also testified that she has paid estate monies to her husband, who has not submitted a claim to the estate. There is a serious concern that as executor, she has mismanaged estate funds and will continue to do so. I think the testimony is also very clear that Ms. Patton does not have an understanding of her fiduciary duties to the estate.
Hang on, Ms. Bryant. Ms. Patton, do you have an objection? I can't hear you. You're on.
I made an error in my speech.
Yeah, you did.
Whenever I told Ms. Bryant that I had given
Okay, so you can't, we're in closing statement right now. So she's just summarizing her belief of what is important for me to focus on from the evidence. Okay, so if that's an objection, I'm overruling it, but I'm not reopening any testimony. Go ahead, Ms. Bryant.
as I said, Your Honor, I think the evidence is plenty for it that Ms. Patton does not understand her fiduciary duty to the estate. We have a successor executor who is ready and willing and able to step in and to perform the duties as the executor. Mr. Patton, I understand there's been testimony that he resides at a state, but we have a resident agent ready to go, Ms. Sherry Lund. And again, Your Honor, I would just reiterate that our position is that Ms. Patton just really does not understand what she has been charged by the court to do here. And we are very concerned that given her testimony and given what has gone on with Mr. Patton, who is a beneficiary of the estate, one of the primary beneficiaries, that there will be further mismanagement of the estate, and that she will continue to act impartially to certain beneficiary, i.e. Mr. Tim Patton, who is her father, over Mr. David Patton, who is the other beneficiary. We think there is sufficient basis for the court to remove her, and we would ask the court do that at this time.
Okay, Ms. Patton, you can make a closing statement now if you would like to. You have to come up.
I misspoke earlier. I understand I'm under oath, and I confused in my mind. Whenever I said I gave my husband a little bit of money, that was from my own beneficiary. It was not the estate money otherwise. And in my head, when I think estate funding, I'm thinking about the beneficiary money too.
I'd like to start my closing argument by highlighting my perjury, and then we'll move on from there.
That came from my beneficiary money only. He has not received money from the estate funds at all. He has not been paid back. I used my money to continue paying for the family, to give him a little bit, and to sustain otherwise. That's all. So I wanted to correct that. I've not misappropriated any funds whatsoever. I have done my due diligence in everything. I have been as loving and amicable to everybody as I possibly could, and we have spent every dollar and credit we have on this family. And I know more about this family and about how to deal with it than the rest of those that would be taking over. It's a sticky situation. They don't speak with they don't speak with mine. I can handle both. And I'm really close to selling the house. I'm close to having the Dobbin property assessed again, whenever the market is up, like Matt was saying. I've made sure that everyone has their money, or I've done what I can to make sure that, like the POA that Melanie has now, David can get his money. I've done everything I can to make sure. And as far as the inventory goes, I apologize. I didn't send it in, but I assessed it with my eyes, and I know that there is inventory there, but because of the condition of the house, and I apologize for my lack of photos now, but I couldn't get to see everything and to really give you a list. And until now that my dad has helped, because Melanie didn't, now we can actually see what's in there and get it out and give you an inventory list. And so I have not done everything perfect for sure, but the only delays I've had in all of this were because of David's inability or not wanting to help, or his anxiety, or whatever his condition, and Melanie's lack of a POA and her refusing to come down, her thinking she didn't need to when I specifically said, I need you to help me with this because obviously it's a problem. These have been the delays. And other than that, I have done everything I possibly can. And I've not misappropriated any funds whatsoever. And so I apologize for saying that wrong before. But everything has been done with full integrity and full honesty. And I don't play favorites. I've treated everybody equally. I've done my best. And yeah, I don't think that I was set up to do my best because of the way the will was written and the lack of some detail. I think I was kind of set in a difficult spot there. But David got the same offer as Tim did as far as the Dobbin location and having a place to stay. He got the same offer. So regardless of whether or not he has his friend's house to go to, he doesn't have to stay in a hotel, and he knows that. So I just want my family to be supported. And I really think that sticking with the process I'm in right now and not trying to remove me from it and start all over with people that are not even in the same state, I'm pretty sure that this is the smoothest way to go if I have what I need to do so. And I can let David in as many times as he wants to get his stuff. And my dad had been living in a hotel as well, so I'm trying to make sure that everybody's taken care of now.
Okay. So the court is going to take it under advisement. Thank you so much, and have an
Oh, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. Yes, the court took it under advisement. No, I can't control it. It happened a few hours ago. Let me assure you, she's removed. There's no way on God's green earth that she does not get removed after this hearing. She just doesn't want to explain it right now. She's going to issue a ruling after Christmas. I would too. I don't blame her. I didn't plan it. I wasn't going to do this thing. I put it on my last stream. I started it. And then everybody in the comments on that stream said, we want to see the rest of it. I'm like, okay, I'll try to scrape this thing together. I thought the rest of it would be a half hour. Oh, this was longer than this. And I cut out all the gaps. Oh, yeah. But yeah, you have to admit, it was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. The husband and the dad were top notch. They really were. I mean, I've never heard such epic stupidity in my life. I mean, top to bottom, from poor English skills to claiming expertise in areas to admitting that you have no money, but also claiming expertise in financial matters to contradicting each other's. I mean, it was the greatest train wreck that I've seen, certainly in probate, and probate is full of train wrecks. Oh, it was such good times. But I'll get it. If anybody, I don't know, I've got Texans. If anyone can get me the order when it comes out, I'll tell you what the order is right now. She's removed, and that's the other thing too. The backup candidate for this task actually comes in and testifies and could not be more sane and reasonable and normal. This isn't a close call. This isn't a close call. You got someone stone cold busted, perjuring themselves on the stand, violating every responsibility of that position and statute. And then you've got a reasonable alternative. I know what's going to happen here. Actually, I don't. Maybe there's more. We didn't get all of the hearing, but we got a good chunk of it. We got a good chunk of it. So that was fantastic. I did not do this. I meant to be, going to bed earlier than this tonight. But thank y'all for coming out. It was kind of fun. It was kind of a impromptu holiday hangout that I didn't expect, and I had a lot of fun with it. Thanks for coming out. I'll see y'all soon.